Sumner 1.
Everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis. We're at 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley, Danny Mack, Matthew Rocc, Randy Carricker. Great to have you with us on a Taco Tuesday. How's everybody doing?
Oh, doing pretty good.
Ever have tacos for breakfast?
No, I do enjoy breakfast tacos, though.
Breakfast burritos are the bomb. But yeah, breakfast tacos are good.
Little egg, little bacon, sausage, some like little cheese.
Little salsa, yeah.
No, I don't do the salsa.
Oh, I know you don't do the salsa, but a breakfast,
Never had it.
Breakfast burrito without salsa, though. You're all over it?
All over it. Okay. Cheese dripping down my chest.
Yeah.
All over my chin.
What about hot sauce?
No, I haven't done that.
Man.
Have you ever had this conversation with Al Michaels?
No, I have not.
Al Michaels has never had vegetables.
So he just,
Never?
at halftime, he eats a steak.
Yeah. His parents didn't make him eat his vegetables when he was a kid, and he decided they were bad, so he's never had vegetables. You can look it up. It's on the interwebs.
Not even accidentally. I feel like accidentally you could have had some
I think
vegetables.
he might have accidentally had like a Brussels sprout or something.
My mom was such and is such a good cook, I just stayed with the basics. And the basics took me home.
Except for no tomatoes. That's a good staple food.
Yeah, she didn't make me do it. You know, she's such a sweetheart, so she didn't make me do a lot of things.
That's very kind of her.
Yeah.
Very kind.
You might have noticed that we are a sports show, and we haven't talked any sports yet, and there's a reason for that.
It is a real good reason.
I will say this again because not everybody listens all the time. But the last coach of the St. Louis football Cardinals was Gene Stallings. He coached here in 1986 and 1987, and the team generally wasn't very good. And they would get into a little losing spin, and he would come in for his Monday press conference and say, yeah, we're kind of scuffling. And the Cardinals, despite winning back-to-back series, congratulations to them for that, Milwaukee and Minnesota, they're kind of scuffling. And not are they only scuffling on the field, but off the field, other teams and broadcasters are taking notice. This was the beginning of the game last night on the Padres television broadcast.
Out of the way, have a pitch up and in.
Hey, Don, I'll be honest with you. I want to get this right out of the way. We are in St. Louis, Busch Stadium. This is not the Busch Stadium I am used to.
No.
Late August, early September. Usually it's packed. The Redbirds are in the race. It is a different vibe here.
Yep, it's shocking.
It is shocking.
Not used to this, ever. A lot of those road games have played in hostile environments, and this used to be one heading into. This was a tough place to play, certainly. And as Mud mentioned earlier, not the case right now. Not sure why that is, but the Cardinals are not out of it by any means, either at this stage of the year, but the fans have just not been coming.
Well, that's being kind. Thank you very much for that, Don Orsillo. And that's, is that Mark Grant?
Mark Grant, yep.
Yeah. 28,697, the announced crowd last night. The real crowd, probably a little less than half of that. And it is notable, and that last part was notable, that the other teams not only notice crowd size, but the fact that this used to be an intimidating place to play. And, Dan, you mention often the Cardinals' home record. Maybe the home atmosphere, the vibe that they referred to, is part of that.
Yeah, I think just generally speaking, we've talked about this a lot. The number one thing is if they're winning, I think fans are coming out, and they're just not winning, and it's – even when they win, at times, it's just not entertaining baseball. And it's hard to hear that if you're a Cardinal fan. I don't think there's any doubt about it. But when others are coming in and noticing, sticks out like a sore thumb for sure.
It's hard to hear, and then it's hard to see. It's the first thing you notice when you tune in to watch a game, right? Is that you see that it's very sparse, the crowd is, when you look around. But we've talked about this, and we've asked people on the text line. We've had many segments about this, about why are you not showing up to games? And a lot of people keep saying the same thing over and over again. And, Dan, you touched on it there. The product on the field is not entertaining, and you kind of know what to expect. They're predictable in a bad way this season, the Cardinals are.
Yeah, and it's to me, this is kind of a transition year. I think that's the way you have to look at it, whether you like to hear that or not. But it's a transition from Goldie being an MVP to what he is now. You're not sure about Arenado. It's the emergence of Wynn. It's the taking over of the really the face of the franchise in my mind. It's Mason Wynn. You did have the emergence of Burleson. You know what you got in Donovan. So there's kind of a transition in the organization. And where you're at right now is just kind of, you're the middle of the pack. And I don't think that gets the fans all that engaged, especially when you mix in the fact that you're not winning all that much.
A 7-4 loss last night. Manny Machado hit a 2-run homer in the first inning. The Padres jumped out to a 4-1 lead. Tough night for Kyle Gibson, 4 1/3, 7 earned runs. He walked 4, struck out only 2, and allowed that home run. And the Padres, middle of the lineup, after Profar 0 for 2 with a couple of walks. Cronenworth 1 for 4, a couple of runs scored. Manny 3 for 4 with 3 runs batted in and that home run. He also walked. Xander Bogaerts, who's been a linchpin for them, goes 1 for 3 with an RBI. And Jackson Merrill, who'll probably be the National League Rookie of the Year, 2 for 4 with 3 runs batted in.
There you go. You took my take it or leave it again.
I'm sorry about that.
I'll go back to it with Jackson Merrill because we have different people that listen at different times. But on the flip side, though, the Cardinals' middle of the lineup did nothing. You know, Arenado was 0 for 5. Nootbaar went hitless. You had the 5 spot in the lineup went 0 for 6, went 0 for, which was Herrera, I believe. So, you look at the middle of the lineup, no thump, and that's a big difference in the game, too.
So we were talking about Busch Stadium not being a threat to people now. It's also this lineup at times. I will give credit to the younger guys. Mason Wynn, obviously a great night for him. 3 hits, a walk, and scored twice. And, of course, showed off his arm defensively with a couple of great plays there. And then you had Brendan Donovan coming through with 3 hits, and you had Alec Burleson, who was able to drive in a pair. But at the same time, you still need your big guys to be big guys and a threat. And there is no threat with this team right now.
But if this is indeed a transition year.
Would you guys agree with that or not?
But
okay.
I think that's very fair.
I could envision the position players and the hitters actually turning into a reasonable offense. Especially if Walker turns into a player. I have no idea where pitching is coming from. If this is a transition, what are we transitioning to from a pitching standpoint?
Here's the other thing, too. Sonny Gray with an ERA over 4, 4.07. Lance Lynn, 4.06. Kyle Gibson, 4.4. It's now 4.5. So your transition to try to get the young pitching, eventually, if it comes, you need to have these guys be what you thought they might be. And I think with Lynn and with Gibson, I'm okay with it. Sonny Gray, I'm not. Sonny Gray has been awful here in the second half, and we talked about it the other day. If you're going to make any kind of run, if you're going to do anything in the second half, if you were going to be a team that had a chance at the wild card, and they're now, I think, 6 out in the wild card, every 5th day, Sonny Gray had to be an ace, and he just has not been.
And he's going to turn, we mentioned this yesterday, he's going to turn 35, so you can't expect him to get better. And here's the other part of this, guys, is the Cardinals minor league pitcher of the year in 2022 was Gordon Graceffo. They thought, okay, year AAA, and then he'll be a stud major leaguer in 2024. We've seen him once, right? They take Michael McGreevy in the first round. They say, okay, we got at least a back-of-the-rotation starter at the major league level for 2024. We've seen him once. They make all these trades last year. They sell, and we get CD-ROM, and we get the hard thrower, Takora Roby, and you get Kloffenstein. We've seen Kloffenstein once. I mean, what good did the selling last year do, aside from John King? What have we seen? I just don't know. Well, I do know. I don't know how they go about getting young pitching going. What they need to do is steal the person that does that for the Guardians.
Yeah, well, and then you have Bloom coming in right now, and what he's able to do. And we've probably seen some of with the names that you mentioned where he had his fingerprints possibly on some of the moves that were made. But I'm with you. If this is a transition year, then I want to start transitioning over to the youth movement. We talked about that. I want to see these guys. I understand that mathematically they might think that they're still in the hunt for the playoffs. But if you look at it as of last night, I wasn't able to check this morning if there's any updates. But they are 10.5 games out of first place in the division, and they're also 5.5 games out of the final wild card spot. And there's 4 teams ahead of them currently right now. So if you just look at where they're at right now, I want to see those younger guys. I want to see Michael McGreevy again. Quinn Matthews, of course, not this season possibly, but Quinn Matthews, what he's able to do, that's maybe a highlight for the future. But as far as what this team looks like next year, what will it be transitioning to? It seems like the Cardinals will have to do some things that they normally don't do in the offseason, which could be parting with some of those veteran guys.
And they're now 6 out in the wild card. Six back,
wow.
And then 10.5 out in the division. I'll take it even further, though. If Walker and Gorman, on the flip side of this, looking at the everyday lineup, if they don't project to be what we all thought they might be, they're in big trouble. Because they're counting on those 2 position players with not a lot of guys coming through the pipeline. You know, Quinn Matthews is probably the one that I hear the most about, left-handed pitcher. We had him on the air. He was great. Hopefully he becomes what you think he might be, and Tink Hence becomes what you think he might be. But position player-wise, too, you have to have those guys be what you thought they were going to be, and if not, you're going to be in the same spot this time next year.
They aren't buying a star player. So you're 100% on the mark here. It is incumbent upon those two young guys, Gorman and Walker specifically, to be great. Here's another thing. And I know that these are completely different organizations, the Braves and the Cardinals are. But the Braves have Austin Riley on the IL. They've got Ronald Acuna on the IL. They've got Ian Anderson on the IL. They've got Spencer Strider on the IL. They've got Ozzie Albies on the IL. They've won 7 out of 10. They won last night. They're still in the playoff hunt. They aren't getting what they expected out of their guys, but they're still winning.
Well, look at the Padres, for example. They had a ton of injuries to start the season and some that they're still recovering from, and they still are able to make that second half push, which I know that we're going to talk about Mike Shildt later in the show, but that's also kind of something that Mike Shilt's known for, right, is that second half push that he's able to really get his teams to do.
25-9 since the All-Star break, and they're, according to Fangraphs, looked at it this morning, their chances of making the playoffs is 96%. So he's done a pretty nice job. There's no doubt about it.
And they're only 4 behind the Dodgers.
Yeah.
The way things are going. And the Dodgers they're still playing great, but they're compromised a little bit. They're getting guys back, but they're still, from a pitching standpoint, compromised. And if I'm not mistaken, they have the Padres and Dodgers have at least a half dozen games left in September.
So this is interesting. 217 says, I just want to say the real reason no one is going to the ballpark is to send a message to Mo, and Marmol has to go. We were talking about this off the air, and I don't think if the organization came out and said, or if John Mozeliak said he's stepping away, I don't think that's the reason why people buy tickets or don't buy tickets. I don't. I think you go to the ballpark because you want to enjoy yourself, and whether the guy is in the front office box or not, I don't see that as a way or a reason. Maybe some do, but I don't think it's a major reason as to why people don't go to the ballpark. I think they don't go to the ballpark because right now it's not entertaining and they're not winning. Period.
But I think people put that on Mo.
Okay. But do you say, though, if you went to your neighbor and said, did you go to the game? Yeah, I went because John Mozeliak got fired. I don't see that happening.
No, the one thing that I could see, though, and this isn't going to happen this season, but regardless of what the personnel is, this is just the nature of sports. If you get a new person in there, it gives hope. Like when the Rams hired Jeff Fisher. Remember the hype over Jeff Fisher being named as the Rams head coach and the sellout, and they gave away
the bump.
Yeah. And so I think that gives people that might not have had hope or that were just disenchanted, it gives them a little breathing room.
I think that's the thing, is that it's all of that, right? Because the product on the field is not exciting, so people are not going to that. Plus, you couple it with them saying that last year was a one-off. Clearly, it was not a one-off. You have another struggling season where you are possibly or most likely going to miss the playoffs for the second straight year, and especially with the history here in St. Louis, that's just not acceptable. And we talk about this, too, all the time. Sometimes the message gets stale. You don't like to go through the process of firing, and it's hard. I understand that. But at the same time, sometimes the message gets stale. And if you couple that with the product on the field not being entertaining, exciting, and we're talking about transitioning into something new, I can see people being excited for that new transition.
And Mo did tell Frank Cusimano earlier this summer on Channel 5 that he feels like the city is tiring of him.
I don't see him going anywhere, though, in his final year of his deal coming up, unless he wants to walk away. I don't see them doing that because he has done a lot. The full body of work. I'm not talking about what's happened here, recency with last year and this year, but the full body of work has been impressive with what Mo has done. So I think they're going to leave it up to him. That would be my guess, to leave it up to him.
Dan, I would say that the chances of John Mozeliak being relieved of his duties as Pobo of the Cardinals are 0.1%. 99.99% that he is going to determine his future for next year with the Cardinals. They will not.
I would say this, too, as to why people aren't going to the ballpark, and we mentioned this a lot. It is expensive right now in everyday life, and I'm not just talking about going to the ballpark, because the ballpark to me is fairly inexpensive. If you want to I talked to a guy the other day, he said, I got a $2 ticket, went down to the game and enjoyed it. So you can find tickets, and I was talking with Martin Kilcoyne, who had the gentleman that had his shirt up the other night, and he said that he got green seats for $88. all you can eat, all you can drink, and be behind behind the plate with $88. So I think it's still affordable to go to the ballpark, but in general, life has become very expensive, and I think people are looking at other ways to save their money. And if the team is not in first place or playing entertaining or not winning, they stay away from the ballpark. By the way, just to say one thing too, Randy, a lot of the guys that they traded for last year are hurt. That is something that's happened too. So keep that in mind as they move forward, and maybe some of these guys develop. We'll see.
I could buy that argument about the economy if the Royals weren't up 2,500 a game, if the Reds weren't up in attendance, if the Pirates weren't up. If it was a thing around the country with the economy, I could see it. But teams that are showing a level of excitement to their fans are up in attendance this year.
Wouldn't you guys agree, though, that if they miss the playoffs again this year, that something does have to change organizationally when it comes to their philosophy, approach, and also maybe who's even in charge?
Something has to change.
Yeah.
Can't keep doing the same thing. Now, where that would go, I'm not sure. How high it would go, I'm not so sure. But, yeah, something needs to change, whether it be personnel or you make a big splash with a trade, you bring in what you think that you have to solve a deficiency in your lineup or your pitching staff. Something would have to change because you're not winning. You're not going to win the division.
We're off and running here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Coming up, the jersey worn by Babe Ruth when he called his shot sold over the weekend. We're going to tell you what it sold for, and we want to hear from you. If you had unlimited funds, what piece of sports memorabilia would you buy? You'll be shocked by what I would buy. Next on 101 ESPN. Over the weekend, the jersey worn by Babe Ruth when he called his shot in Game 3 of the 1932 World Series. And there's some debate as to whether or not he did actually call that shot. But the jersey that he was wearing sold for $24.12 million with Heritage Auctions. And this, unfortunately, got me to thinking. If you had unlimited funds, what piece of memorabilia would you buy? The text line is open, 314-399-9646, 314-399.
Yo-ho!
Or you can also leave us a mic drop. Oh, that was right
beautiful.
there.
I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. Why did you say unfortunately, Randy? Why was it unfortunate that you started to think about this?
Because you tell me now, Brooke, right before we're set to do this segment, that the piece of memorabilia that I want isn't even for sale.
Well, just go ahead and tell the people what you're wanting, Randy.
I want Ted Williams' frozen head.
Oh, yeah, I don't think that's for sale.
I don't think it's attached to the tuna can anymore.
So bad.
It was literally attached to a tuna can.
Was it really?
Yeah, they had to hit it with a hammer. They had to knock it off with a hammer, the tuna can. Yeah, it was bad news. It's in a book. People read books.
So where would you put that in your house?
Oh, in the freezer.
Oh.
Why not just put it on the mantle? Joan would say, hey, come on in, folks. Check it out. There's Ted Williams' head.
It'd be gross. Okay, it'd be gross to not have it in the freezer.
Well, what if you had it frozen on top of the mantle?
Now you're talking.
With a see-through glass.
Okay, now we're thinking. Okay.
Can you envision that?
We've got unlimited funds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can do what you want.
Let's make this happen.
What a beautiful, piece to have inside your house. And my first question to you, too, is, well, where is his head? And you said Arizona.
It's in a cryogenically frozen area in a company in Arizona.
I was like, they couldn't pick a better state than Arizona just in case something malfunctions.
And then it got hot?
Yeah,
really.
that would be really bad.
Okay, how about Mike Eruzione's Miracle on Ice jersey?
Oh.
Would that one... That one would be a good one to have.
I actually have. I got the chance to meet Mike Eruzione, and he was working at Boston University. I'm not sure if he's still working there or not. I have a jersey of a authenticated jersey signed by Mike Eruzione with the USA in the front. Nice. So it's the 1980 jersey. Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorite pieces of memorabilia. Awesome. It's just not the one that he wore. That would be pretty cool, though. That's
really cool. I definitely want something that has a great story, because that's why Babe Ruth's jersey sold for so much, is because it has a great story behind it. So I think an easy one for a lot of just sports fans in general would be Michael Jordan's flu game sneakers, which are actually for sale. Another one for me personally is Serena Williams, the tennis racket she used in 1999 for the U.S. Open, where it started, obviously, her dominance in tennis. So if I could have that one, that would be amazing. And then I think another one for my few Titans fans out there. What about the ball that Frank Wycheck used for the Music City Miracle?
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
The lateral to Kevin Dyson?
Yeah. That would be an awesome one to have for a Titans fan.
I would go with Roger Maris's bat when he broke the home run record.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever read or seen or if it's in the Hall of Fame or not. I mean, back then they used the bat, and then they went back up there, and then they broke it and moved on to the next one. Yeah. So I'm not sure where that bat is. Maybe someone can help me out.
Yeah. Now, if you're an investor, how about the ball from the final ball from the Cubs 2016 World Series?
That's a pretty big one. Now, that was put in the pocket by Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah.
After Chris Bryant threw it across the diamond, Rizzo made the catch standing at first, and they won the World Series. I'm not sure where that went. I know fans know where it went. I don't know if it went to Tom Ricketts or if the Hall of Fame asked to grab it or exactly where it went. I'm not sure.
And when the Red Sox won here in 2004, that became a mystery because Doug Mankiewicz apparently kept it, but then didn't tell anybody where it was.
So it was back to Keith Falk off the bat of Renteria, and then he just underhand to Mankiewicz. Right. And then, you're right, he put it in his back pocket. That's a good one, too.
We're getting a couple of good texts in. Somebody said from the 618, the St. Louis Rams Super Bowl trophy.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a fun one to have. I bet you could get that for the right price.
You wouldn't want it, would you?
Oh, yeah, I would take that.
You're okay with that one?
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Okay. Now, do the players get replicas, like little mini replicas?
They get mini ones, yeah.
Okay.
They did here. Not every team gives them out, but Georgia was very effusive in what she wanted to give out.
And
very
they got
generous.
rings, obviously.
Yeah.
And if you win the NFC Championship but lose in the Super Bowl, you get a ring, right?
That's right. And that was one of the problems that the Rams had in 2002 is that they didn't have a ceremony. Players came in for mini camp, and their NFC Championship rings were just sitting on a table for lunch. And they just, okay, go grab your ring. Because it was, Martz made it feel like it was meaningless.
I don't like that. It's meaningful to me.
Well, and it's interesting because we're going to hear from A lot of the Rams players. I was talking to somebody about how asking Grant Wistrom right after that Super Bowl. I said, "Man, you guys go 14-2, go to the Super Bowl, you lose by a field goal." And he said, "The season's a waste," and that's how things changed. It went from joy to expectation, and I think that there was a prevailing feeling among a lot of those players that they didn't finish the job, and so the season wasn't worthwhile.
Randy, look at what you started, because now we're getting a lot of niche ones coming in from the 314. I would love to have the camera that the Patriots used to film the Rams walkthrough.
There you go. If the tape is still in it, that'd be great.
That'd be huge.
Yeah. How about the 9-iron that Elon attacked Tiger with?
Somebody actually texted it in, and sadly, that was also my idea yesterday.
It was. That's a good one.
It was, because that's a moment I will never forget. I remember thinking, just as a little girl, that this was the biggest news ever.
It was.
That Tiger Woods was in a scandal. I was just absolutely shocked.
So
I would love the ball that dropped on his famous chip at the Masters.
In 05?
Yeah.
16?
Yeah, that would be a pretty cool one. And if you were Nike, man, can you imagine a commercial that was any better than that, with the logo just sitting there and then just drops? It was amazing.
Yeah.
That was Tiger.
It was phenomenal. What about from a hockey standpoint? Any Blues Stanley Cup memorabilia that you'd like to have? Jordan Binnington's goalie stick or glove?
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a really good one.
From Game 7?
Yeah. What about Pat Maroon? The puck for a Game 6. That was Game 6, right? Against Dallas?
That was Game 7.
Game 7. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Game 7.
Number
yes.
7, Game 7.
Yes.
Did anybody get that puck?
That's
I'm
a
sure
good
they
question.
did.
Yeah.
It's
I'm sure
funny
it was
when
auctioned off.
you have these great moments and then you start thinking about, well, where's the puck? And what happened to his jersey from that night? Where's some of the equipment? Maybe his stick. Where is that stuff? I mean, I wonder if the individual just decided to keep it or give it to his family as a present or whatever the case may be.
A lot of them do sell it off to, different charities and things like that. A lot of the guys do that.
Yeah.
And that's very nice of them. I'm trying to find a lot more of these. There's so many that are coming in right now.
Bartman's headphones is a good one. The ball, there was a ball. What ball got blown up at Harry Carey's?
I think it was the Bartman ball.
Was it the Bartman ball?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that was that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was it.
That's what I was thinking. That's why I asked. But I wonder if it got back down on the field. He didn't catch it. So I don't know exactly what happened to it.
Wait, they were trying to chase it around. Remember trying to chase that down, and they thought multiple people had it, and then eventually they got it, I think, authenticated properly, and then blew it up at Harry Carey's.
The most I've ever been envious in the moment where I saw something happen that was memorable, and I was like, man, I wish I was that person who just grabbed that piece of memorabilia. And for the most I've ever felt is the ball that fell on the batter's eye from David Freese. That's
pretty good one.
The most personal envy I felt ever, where I was just like, if I could be in one place ever in my life, I'd be the guy who had the first foot onto the batter's eye and got to that ball.
And text in if you know the person that has that.
I want to shake their hand one time.
Or if you are the person that has that.
Can I give you two more?
Yeah.
Okay. From the 314, the ball that Randy Johnson hit a bird with.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good
bird.
one.
Or the bird. Yes.
Or the bird. Both. You need both,
Little
right?
taxidermy action.
Yeah. Well, they have the rally
little
squirrel
model.
at the museum. Have you guys seen that at the Cardinals Museum? They have the rally squirrel. Now it's just a toy. It's not even taxidermy.
goodness. Whew.
Yes. Okay, another one. Jordan Binnington's water bottle. Remember? Water bottle gate?
Yeah. With Kadri? Yeah, that'd be great.
573. I want Chubb's fake hand in Happy Gilmore. I'd take that. I'd take that over a lot of things. That would be hilarious.
Jack Buck's microphone.
I bet, Randy, do you have anything from Mr. Buck?
Just photos, that's all.
Yeah.
I don't have anything that no microphone or anything like that.
I have a picture at the Old Busch Stadium with me and Mr. Buck, and I had to be convinced to take it because I didn't want to bother Jack at all. And the team photographer at the time said, "You're going to want this picture. No matter what, you're going to want this picture." I said, "Okay." I said, "I don't want to bother him." And Mr. Buck, obviously so accommodating, but it's one of my prized possessions to have that picture with Jack.
Yeah,
it meant a lot to me.
Pretty cool. Thank you very much for all of your texts. There's a lot of cool stuff. We might come back to this a little bit later. $24.12 million, by the way, for that Babe Ruth jersey. That's too much. All due respect. I know it's a cool item, but that's too much. Come on, do better things with your money.
What would you do with that kind of money?
I'd give a lot of it to charity.
I would too.
He would get Ted Williams' head.
Or
Remember?
Ted Williams'
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
That's what he was going to do.
One more really quick niche one. Somebody says Nancy Kerrigan skates. And see, I'm on the other side. I want the pipe that John Galooly had.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one. Right? I feel like, Randy, you were going to be simpatico with me on that one.
And no doubt about it. Coming up, Herrera is the Cardinals' backup catcher while Willson Contreras is out. Should the Cardinals have had a better defensive option if Contreras got hurt? That's next on 101 ESPN. I'm always talking about how great the Schnucks Rewards program is, and it is awesome. And now it's even better because Schnucks just released new perks to make their rewards program even more personalized. When you download the Schnucks Rewards app, they now have personal double points days, and that makes earning rewards easier and faster. Think about this. Keep an eye on the Rewards app for your personal double points day coupon every day. And once you clip it, you can use it to get double points on your entire purchase. So if you spend $400 on groceries, you get 4% back rather than 2% back on everything you buy. So instead of the 2%, you get double that. You get to choose when to use the coupon. You could apply it the next time you do a stock-up shop, so you really get big bang for your buck at Schnucks. This is an in-app coupon, so be sure to download the Schnucks Rewards app today and check your digital coupons. That's where you'll find this coupon when it periodically pops up. And don't forget, when the Cardinals hit a homer, you get a free donut the morning afterwards with Dingers for Donuts. Download the Schnucks Rewards app today and look for those personal double points days every day with the Schnucks Rewards app.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals last night fall to the Padres 7-4. Kyle Gibson goes 4 1/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 7 earned runs, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, and 1 home run allowed. The Cardinals will try to get a win in Game 2 of 4 against the Padres this evening. 6:45 first pitch. It'll be a battle of the righties. Dylan Cease faces off against Miles Michaelis for the Cardinals. Cease on the season sits at 12-10 with a 3.43 ERA. That is your Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Well, the Cardinals are going back to Ivan Herrera as their backup catcher while Willson Contreras is out injured. And the Cardinals, I think we can all agree, probably didn't have Pedro Pages on their roster when spring training started. And they thought Herrera was going to be the backup. I don't know how much, and Dan, you might know, how much the Cardinals knew about Herrera. I remember back before the pandemic in spring training of 2020, he was being talked about as the heir for Yadier Molina, and they said he's a stud. Actually, at that point in 2020, they said he's a stud defensively. He needs to work on his offense.
Yeah, that was the rub with him is this guy's going to be a really good defensive player, and we see that even getting better and better. And then the offense will be the question mark for him. And that was what I was told a few years ago. But things have changed obviously to where there is a concern with what he does throwing out base runners. I will say this though, guys. I think part of this problem, and Pages hasn't been great either in terms of throwing out base runners. Part of the problem is what's going on with the pitchers, too.
No doubt. Pages is actually pretty close to league average. League average is 22%. He's thrown out 20%. He's 10 for 51. Herrera's thrown out 3 of 44. He's at 7%.
I look at, though, in how runners are being held on by the pitching staff, and something needs to change with that. You need to help out your backstop a little bit. Now, I think it's going to be interesting in the next 3 nights if Herrera's behind the plate, hell, even if Pages is behind the plate, how Mike Shildt approaches running against the Cardinals. I mean, he will take every single opportunity he has and will try to run. He did that with the Cardinals. If there was a tell, if there was just a tick of a second slow by the pitcher, did they see something with the footwork of the opposing catcher? He will do that all the time. So if he's got a chance to run, he will. It's
a perfect storm, right? Because when we're talking about the issues of throwing out runners, you have 2 catchers that we were talking about with Pedro Pages and Ivan Herrera kind of struggling, that Herrera more so. Do you think that we were just so used to Yadier Molina, we were just so spoiled by, obviously, his excellence and what he was able to do, that now you have these 2 kind of younger catchers coming up? It'll take them some time to grow and especially get that going with their arm strength. Do you think that we were just so used to Yadi and what he was able to do, his dominance behind the plate, that we're in that adjustment period now?
Yes, but that's why they signed Contreras, though. They expected those guys to be the backup, and that's the gist of the conversation here is, should they have known more about Herrera and his inability to effectively throw out runners on a regular basis? If they planned on winning, and they said that they planned on winning this year, should they have had a better defensive backup for Contreras than Herrera?
Maybe it's Pages. Maybe they saw him coming and thought, if it doesn't work with Herrera, at least we have a guy that's defensive-minded and that we could bring him up and, in that regard, be protected. I don't think he's going to get overly exposed in the final month of this regular season unless you play him every single night behind the plate, which I don't anticipate them doing. It looks like the pitching staff likes throwing to Pages. They've been publicly stating that. And as you mentioned, Randy, he's league average in throwing base stealers out. So pick your spots with him and make sure that when you do, it's probably the right guy on the mound. I do think somehow, some way, you got to keep his bat in the lineup just to see if he can catch lightning in a bottle, because he's shown at this level he can hit.
It's definitely a concern when you're looking at this team moving forward, though, because if we're talking about Willson Contreras, obviously they limit his time even behind the plate as a catcher, and he's able to do a lot offensively. So that's a huge loss for this team. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw the update last night that he will not require surgery. So the door is open possibly for him to return later on this season. There's 5 weeks. I think 3 weeks is how long he's expected to be out. We saw that he has the ability to return really quickly. But when you're looking at next year and moving forward with his organization with the catching position, I think it should be a big concern, and you have to figure out something with Herrera and Pedro Pages, because look at how athletic all the other guys are. We talk about Ellie De La Cruz and his ability to steal bases. Even Jackson Merrill, his speed. So if teams know that they have that, then they're going to really exploit that.
But you have Contreras for 3 more years.
Yeah.
You know?
But I wonder if he'll be the number one catcher? Because it seemed like they were moving towards splitting time now. I wonder how close they are because of what you mentioned with the ability of Pages to work with the pitchers, and because Willson is older, has been hurt.
Got to keep him in the lineup.
You want
right?
to have his bat in the lineup. So I wonder if you might be more inclined, kind of like what the Cubs did down the stretch with him, to use him more as a 50-50 guy or a 40-60 guy, with a guy like Pages being the guy.
And I think that's probably the direction that they go. I would say if you're Herrera, the one way to stick is that this offseason, he's going to have to get better defensively. He's going to have to show that he can throw base stealers out, and I'm sure he'll play winter ball, and that's something that'll be emphasized for him is, look, you prove that you can hit at this level. We know that you can hit at this level, but if you want to stick, this is your position. You've got to be better defensively.
One other note, by the way, about roster construction. Should the Cardinals have just kept Andrew Kisner?
I would not have. That's just my personal opinion. I would not have. I think that they felt at the time that they had these two guys coming, and so it made some sense maybe to cut bait and let them walk.
Should they have a catching coach? We discussed that about something when you're looking at really changing things behind the scenes with his organization for next year. Do you add a catching coach instructor for this team? Because a lot of the other teams in Major League Baseball have that on their staff. The Cardinals do not. Because they had Yadier Molina for so long. You guys watched it.
They do have a catching coach, though, but he just hasn't been here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nobody's seen him.
And maybe they thought that his role would be, a little bit more where he would be here in St. Louis, where he could help these young catchers more. But do you go and get one of those guys this offseason? Do you have somebody that can help the organization with these younger catchers?
I think you need to, and not just from the standpoint of the major leagues, but the Cardinals don't have an organizational catching instructor. They have 3 top 30 prospects that are catchers, and they don't have an organizational catching instructor.
If Yachty never showed up during the regular season, I wouldn't like it, but I'd say, okay. But I would say if you're going to be on the staff, we need you at spring training. From day one, we need you to work with the catchers, because that's when the catchers are there with the pitchers, and pitchers who report early need somebody to throw to. So it's a catcher, and spring training is tough on a catcher because they're like, hey, that guy, go get him. I need you to catch. That's what happens a lot of times with these younger guys. But just hearing him, listening to him, let him evaluate what's going on with your footwork, pitch framing, all those things, how you call a game, thinking through a game. Those are really important that you can learn some of these things in spring training if he's there.
The Baltimore Orioles have one of the 2 or 3 best catchers in baseball in Adley Rutschman. They have a guy on their staff that is their major league catching instructor.
I think this is to the bigger picture, guys. And Randy, I know you and I talked about this on Friday, and Brooke, you weren't here. You were taking a well-deserved day off.
Thank you.
It wasn't
No problem.
A day off.
Long weekend. So, no, it was a long weekend for you in a bad way.
It was.
So this is the bigger question of having more of the former players being a part of your staff or being a part of the minor league system and expanding your coaching, not just catchers, but I mean expanding what you're doing coaching-wise in the minor leagues.
Dan, you remember Sal Fasano?
Oh, sure. He had the big mustache, and he was with the Atlanta Braves and Phillies for a while.
He's the Braves catching coach, major league catching coach. That's his job.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals don't have a guy in their whole organization that is a catching coach. Come on now, let's be better.
So if you're not going to invest a lot of money in your players, or if you have young players that you have invested some in to come up, why not invest in your coaching staff?
Yes.
Expand
Exactly.
that.
At every level.
And expand it and invest in that and try to get the best people you can find.
Right. And
Because then you're able to get the most out of your players.
Yeah.
And develop them fully.
Doesn't that seem logical? If you are drafting a guy and you want him to be a productive player at the major league level, don't you want to nurture him and get him to the majors and be the best that he can possibly be when he gets to the major league level?
And that's what we're talking about with coaches.
Yeah.
Yep. Find him some tutelage down in the minor leagues. I mean, Dave Ricketts, who for our older fans that are listening will remember that name quite fondly, was a catching instructor, and many believed he was the best ever at what he did. I mean, he was amazing, and the Cardinals hold him in such high regard, like a George Kissel and some of the others that they've had in the minor leagues. That guy helped out a lot of people. It was Dave Ricketts who went to the Cardinals and said, this guy, you better keep an eye on him and be careful with him because he's the next thing in Major League Baseball. And he was talking about Yadier Molina. I mean, he knew exactly when he saw him, this guy was going to be a stud. So, they need to invest, in my opinion, in some more coaches and maybe some more consultants in the minor leagues just to invest in your young players.
And, oh, by the way, I misspoke earlier because I hadn't looked at the Cardinals' top 30 prospects since the draft. Among their top 30 prospects, number 5, catcher Jimmy Crooks. Number 9, catcher Leonardo Bernal. Number 23, catcher Ryan Campos. Number 24, catcher Rynel Rodriguez. And number 28, catcher Sammy Hernandez. 5 of your top 30 prospects are catchers. And do you have a minor league catching instructor? No.
You need one.
What do you think the desire is for a former Major League player to do this? I think it's
it depends
limited.
on the guy.
You do?
Yep.
I think I do
Yeah,
agree that
probably
it's
right.
limited, but maybe if you can get them to buy back into the organization, helping them get back to the Cardinals way.
Yeah. And it depends on the time spent. I wonder if a guy like Pags would be interested. Pags loves to coach. I don't know if he'd be interested in doing that and going around the minor leagues 1 week a month during the summer or something like that. But I would think that he would be a valuable guy. The Cardinals have a great history of catchers that they could pluck from. I don't know if I don't think Mike Matheny has any interest in really coaching in baseball anymore. But he's a good guy to have. Bring him down to spring training for a week.
Man, you hear so many of these pitchers that come up and talk about, well, Izzy taught me this, or Izzy talked to me about this pitch, or taught me a little bit about what I needed to do in coming back from an injury. You hear that about Ryan Ludwig. I just think that these guys are valuable assets potentially to a club. By the way, can I say something real quick off the Matthew? You're wondering about the David Freese ball, right? Oh yeah. So Brian Finch, who used to work at the Cardinals and ran the Cardinals Museum, said right now David Freese had his Game 6 home run ball returned to him. He has loaned it to the Cardinals for a number of years, and it's been on display at the Cardinals Museum.
Very nice.
So there you go.
Everybody should go to the Cardinals Museum. It is great.
Thank you, Mr. Finch.
And one other
Sorry to go off the beaten path.
Let's.
Important
I want
update.
to swing back before we get to Tioli coming up. The Cardinals were very fortunate at the major league level to have Dave Duncan, a former major league catcher, as their pitching coach, too.
Yes.
That really did play a role.
Huge.
Also, in addition to Dave Ricketts in the ascent of Yadier Molina.
Good point.
Yep.
Very good point.
That's Dan. That's Brooke. That's Matthew. I'm Randy. Coming up, take it or leave it. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. 314-399. Yo-ho! Tioli next on 101 ESPN. Hey, guys, when I was looking for a new vehicle and I wanted to get the best financing I could get, I went to Auto Loan Pro at autoloanpro.com. You say, Randy, why do you go to Auto Loan Pro? Why can't I just go into my car dealership and go into the finance office there and they'll give me a good deal? Well, here's the thing. That finance office might be working with 1 or 2 different lenders. Autoloanpro.com is working with over 50 lenders to help you get the very best financing. So when I went in to Auto Loan Pro, they said, hey, what kind of payment would you like? how long would you like it to be? And they got as close to what I wanted as possible. As a matter of fact, I got the loan I wanted. And I actually bought my vehicle from AutoLoanPro.com as well. When you go to AutoLoanPro.com, check out their playbook so that you know how the Auto Loan Pro works. And then if you want to buy a vehicle, use their drop-down menu, and maybe you'll find the vehicle you're looking for there. If you can make a payment, Auto Loan Pro can get you into a loan for a new vehicle. All you need to do is go to AutoLoanPro.com, because if you're financing a car, there's one thing to know. Choose the Auto Loan Pro. AutoLoanPro.com.
Start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Here we go. Take it or leave it. You're fired up about Thursday night, Mizzou and Murray State, just because it's a football game.
I will take it. Hey, you heard what Eli Drinkwitz said. It doesn't matter that they're facing Murray State. Everybody needs to show up and support.
Yeah, we saw MTSU last year. The
Don't
Gators.
say it.
The Gators were, they were a threat.
The Blue Gators. It's the Blue Raiders, Randy. He thought for like an entire season, Dan, that they were the Blue Gators.
That's all right. Yeah. Wait, by the way, what was your take it or leave it? Just start it over.
You're fired up about football, even though it's Missouri and Murray State.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, I am too. I'm ready
for the Gators. Or Raiders or whatever.
The Gators or Raiders. Yeah, it's the Raiders. To be fair, in certain light, maybe it looks like a Gator, but it is 100% a Blue Raider. Okay. It's a fictional character, so very creative. So Middle Tennessee State University.
A Blue Gator would probably be a fictional character too.
It's true. Or you could bait it. I'm saying Pegasus. The Blue Raider is Pegasus. That's blue. They made it up. All right, take it or leave it. I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday, but O'Neal Cruz is changing positions. He will be an outfielder. So take it. You like the idea. Leave it. You don't like it.
I'm going to take it. I like the idea.
I'm going to leave it. I love seeing him at short. I love seeing the tall, lanky shortstop with this great range and big arm, fast. I like seeing him at short. Although if he plays center, I'd like to watch him play center field too.
Well, he's so athletic that it actually does make sense. But he's 6'7", I believe. So how many shortstops at that height last at that position?
Well,
None.
if you go back, like Cal Ripken Jr. was the first really tall, big shortstop. It used to never be that way. And then you had the Jeter, Garcia Parra, A-Rod wave come through. And now it's a new wave of shortstops coming through. These guys can be 6'1", 6'2", or in this case, 6'7".
It's pretty tall.
It is tall. It's amazing.
They moved Isaiah Kiner-Falefa to short. And I'm going down. By the way, Mason Wynn leads Major League shortstops at 13 defensive runs saved. Brayan Rocchio. There's Rocchio of Cleveland.
Yeah, he pronounces it wrong.
Okay, good. He's second, and Geraldo Perdomo of Arizona is third. And O'Neal Cruz is at best on page 2.
Is he like -8 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
It's not great.
Yeah, I am. Okay, I'm done with page 2, and he's not there either. You think he's like -8? Is that?
I think it's pretty
what
bad. Yeah.
Okay. Not great.
But he's very athletic. I don't think, if I read correctly.
-8.
Oh, I was correct. He was -8. So if I read this correctly too, he has never in his entire life played in the outfield. So
I heard 80 innings in the minors.
Oh, okay.
80
well, that's
innings
good
at the
least.
outfield. Yeah.
You would think he's athletic enough to make that transition, but not an easy transition at all. All right, take it or leave it. Jackson Merrill will be the National League Rookie of the Year.
Take it.
Oh, I'll take
I'm gonna
that.
take it over Paul Skeens.
Over Paul Skeens.
Yep.
He's now got 5 game-tying or go-ahead home runs hit in the 9th inning or later. As we mentioned, the Padres are 25-9 since the break. He's a main reason as to why they're going to head to postseason play. And with all the fanfare that goes around Paul Skeens, and he deserves all of it. I think if you look at an everyday player and being a main reason as to why you get into postseason play, Jackson Merrill will be the National League Rookie of the Year.
And he had not played the outfield before this past spring.
That's crazy when you think about that.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier for an infielder to go to the outfield as an outfielder coming in to play the infield.
What Skip Schumacher did was pretty amazing.
It was. For him to play every day at second base, incredible.
Yep.
Take it or leave it. People didn't know this, but there actually was an 11th commandment. Thou shalt not dip peanut butter and jelly sandwiches into your chili. But God's scratching, thinking, no, not even my children will be that wrong.
I'll take it.
Yeah, you got to take that.
Dan, we had a huge debate yesterday because somebody texted in that they like to have a peanut butter sandwich to dip into their chili.
Just peanut butter or the jelly too?
Well, they
That's
said
the thing.
specifically peanut butter.
It started there, but then
Yeah.
people developed that at grade school, they would get peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and they would get chili, and they just assumed they were supposed to combine those. So it went from peanut butter sandwiches and chili to full-on peanut butter and jelly with chili, and we strayed further from God's light as we went deeper into the segment.
Sounds disgusting.
You're right.
I couldn't do that. I saw a guy the other day dip his French fries into a malt shake.
Oh, that's not
seen that
bad.
before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard that.
That's not a big deal.
Dan,
I
Dan,
wouldn't
were
do
you
it.
thoroughly disgusted?
So Randy has done that before.
No, I have not. I would not do that. That's why they make ketchup. They make ketchup so that you can dip your fries into that, or Chick-fil-A sauce with their waffle fries.
That is the perfect combination.
It is.
It is.
Okay, this is it's not anything to leave. Somebody says dip your chili in ranch. You can't dip
No.
Chili and
You
ranch?
can't
No.
dip something that's mostly a liquid into another. What are we doing here, people?
No.
Yeah, this is
Couldn't you throw the ranch, though, in the chili and just
that's-
kind of
you
round
could.
it up?
Yeah, like it's a sour cream instead of sour cream. I can
Yeah.
understand that, but like that's not dipping chili in ranch. The syntax is what really has me.
By the way, back in the day when we had Steak and Shake here in St. Louis, I was not a big fan of the Steak and Shake chili, too sweet. I do like chili with spaghetti, but not sweet chili with spaghetti.
But their
Okay.
chili cheese fries,
They're the
those were
bomb.
good.
Those were good. Yeah.
Yes.
That's cool with you, Dan?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, for sure. What are you checking in with me for?
I just want to make sure.
Oh, I'm all
I feel
good.
like I always learn like a new thing that you haven't eaten, so I like to keep track.
Oh, no. Chili,
understand.
and I love the Steak and Shake chili. So there's a difference. A little bit of, we can have a disagreement about that. I love the Steak and Shake chili.
Okay, so
I love in
steak
the
and-
fall.
I didn't like it the next morning, but
I have been kind of like us with the wingding, which
Yeah.
is fabulous, by the way.
Oh, so good.
I've judged some chili contests in the fall before, and they're delicious.
I understand that combination of like
Invitation.
salty and sweet that like the people are going with the fries and the shake, but like that doesn't mean all salty and sweet combinations work.
True. Yeah.
Like pineapple on pizza. I know some people hate it, but
I love
it
it.
actually
Oh,
works.
delicious.
It works.
Love it.
And then
about
throw
it
some
works.
jalapenos on there too.
Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, you're right. It works.
Sea salt on dark chocolate covered almonds.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sea salt, a little pinch of, Randy. So
You're in heaven, Randall.
So here, let me tell you something.
a little pinch of sea salt inside chocolate milk.
Yeah. So, okay, one day we're here, and it was before CD was a full-time guy, and we were doing the fast lane, and CD was, I was sitting here, Carrie was sitting in the middle, I think BT was sitting over on the right, and somebody had brought in, and it wasn't me, some of the Trader Joe's dark chocolate covered almonds with sea salt. We get to a break, and Carrie says, "Hey, can you pass me that crack?"
What?
Because that's what they're like. They're so addictive.
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
He's the best. You got any more, Matthew?
I'm sorry.
I'm crying. I can't read my sheet here. Okay. All right. Thanks
You
for
all
your
right,
text.
Randall?
I'm doing great.
No, we don't
Okay.
have one more strawberry jelly on Sloppy Joe. Somebody sent this in yesterday. Stop it. Stop.
No.
Please stop.
No, not strawberry jelly.
Part of me, a lot of people were sending in stuff, and it was just they were adding different jellies on my thing, and part of me is wondering how much of this was just like people being like, I need a little bit of like extra
Attention.
sugar added onto this thing completely arbitrarily, and it was just jam was the thing they had in their house. Just pull it back a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Oh, very important note here from the 618. If Dan has had chili, he has eaten tomatoes.
That's
Breaking
correct.
news.
That is correct. So I just haven't had tomatoes like outside of the sauce or whatever you put in.
That's
Ever
fair.
dipped a tortilla chip into salsa before?
Don't like salsa. Yeah.
Coming up here on 101 ESPN
You're just
yesterday,
going to let me sit with this?
during the
Sorry.
post-show meeting and planning for this show, Matthew brought out the pen and the paper, and he was serious. So next up,
What do you got?
are the Cardinals better off with Willson Contreras out of the lineup? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, it is going to be hot again today. And if you have any issues at all with that air conditioner, you need to get in touch with my friends at Hoffman Brothers. They're easy to get in touch with. You can find them on the web at Hoffman Bros, HOFFMANN, HoffmanBros.com, or you can give them a call at 314-664-3011. And they'll come out, they'll take a look at your air conditioner, they'll make sure that it is good to go. If you have any problems, not only are they expert at fixing air conditioners, but they also have air conditioners on hand. So for the rest of this really hot week, if you need to get a new air conditioner, Hoffman Brothers can take care of you. Hoffman Brothers is an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. They improve life in every single home, and it's a really good idea just to join their personal protection plan, because when you have that, they'll call you and set up your appointments for your furnace before it gets cold and your air conditioner before it gets hot. You get free filters. You can change your filters all the time, and they do great work on everything in your house: HVAC, heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical. They do it all at Hoffman Brothers. Find out more at HoffmanBros.com. In St. Louis, time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler, with Brooke Grimsley, Dan McLaughlin, Matthew Rocchio. I'm Randy Carricker. And yesterday, on the heels of the injury to Willson Contreras, we wondered if, without him in the lineup for 4 weeks, if the Cardinals could even hope to finish above 500, because he is, after all, their best hitter. And we got some pushback on the part of listeners, and we thank you for your pushback, saying, nah, they have a losing record with Contreras in the lineup. They win without him. And Matthew Rocchio went bananas. And so he's got some numbers for us. What do you got, sir?
Yeah, I didn't like that stat. It felt a little just like I said at the time. It was just you're throwing two numbers together and saying they're connected, and I was calling BS on that one. And here's the fact of the matter is they when Willson Contreras went down with the fractured elbow, they rallied around Pedro Pajes and they played good baseball. And here's the fact of the matter: Goldie, Burley, Wynn, Donnie, Gorman, Herrera, pretty much Nolan Arenado, and the weird thing with guys like Dylan Carlson. Those are the only guys who didn't step up and play better when Willson Contreras was gone from May 7th to June 23rd. I'm not going to go through all the numbers, but if you look at every number in the slash line across of those guys, every single one of the numbers is 20 to 50 to, when you get to the OPS, 100 points higher in that May 7th to June 23rd stretch than it is for their entire season. Everyone stepped up. Mason Wynn hit 322. He's hitting 278 the rest of the season. Donovan hit 300. He's hitting 262 the rest of the season. When Herrera came in, he hit 318 in that stretch. He's hitting 274 the rest of it. Nolan Gorman, the numbers aren't that aren't that much bigger. His average difference is only 211 to 203. But in the 151 at bats he took while Willson Contreras was out, he hit 12 of his home runs for this season. He has 19 in 365. His home runs per at bat went from 17 to 12 and a half. 12 and a half would be the second highest in the league, behind Aaron Judge and right alongside Shohei Ohtani. So Gorman was hitting more home runs like crazy. Everyone hit the ball better. And this doesn't even go into the fact, if you break down the pitching numbers, almost all the pitching numbers are better as well. Everybody stepped up, and you can't tell me that Willson Contreras was holding them back before or after that.
I don't know why that narrative continues or is even out there, because there's definitely a lot of other factors that you mentioned there. You had a great breakdown of all the different numbers, but to
Those are
put
good
it
numbers.
on, yeah, it's really good numbers. To actually have people out there say this team is somehow better without Willson Contreras. This team has struggled offensively all year. That's been the story. And Willson Contreras, before getting injured, he had 15 home runs and an 849 OPS. I think that's something that you really need in your lineup, especially here down the stretch.
You're a better team when Willson Contreras is in the lineup. Bottom
Yes.
line. Next segment.
It's true.
Well, I mean, you
It's
are.
true.
So you're better if he's in the middle of your lineup, and he's been one of the best hitters that this lineup has seen all year.
And some guys, because of the things they do, are simply winning ball players. Some guys just do things to help your team win. But because the Cardinals are 37 and 47 with Contreras in the game, and he has missed a lot of time, and they've had some wins without him. People, like Matthew said, they put those together. I don't think that that's reasonable. I think Willson Contreras is a guy, if you look at this team, despite those numbers, is clearly better with him. Now, when he performs well, here's the thing. When in games that the Cardinals win with Willson Contreras, he hits 314 with a 1.011 OPS. In games they lose when Willson Contreras is playing, he's hitting 217 with a 707 OPS.
So he's pretty important.
He's
He
pretty
is.
important. So what you need is him to always be great.
Yeah,
You
good
do.
luck, right?
Yeah, right.
In baseball, that's just not going to happen.
Honestly, I think some of the people who are saying that, sadly, it's part of the hangover of last year, where you had, of course, the giant kerfuffle with Willson Contreras and all the kind of drama surrounding that. And it's kind of the ramifications where people still don't fully buy into maybe Willson, which they should. They should 100%. We pointed out the numbers to you. We see what he's able to do consistently offensively for a team that struggles to find any sort of consistency. He is the one constant offensively for them. But I think this is part of the hangover from last year of just people, still wanting to find a way to put Willson Contreras down.
And we got a text that says, his catching may still be the issue. We looked at the numbers yesterday. Again, Herrera's bad. Pages is right around league average, and Willson Contreras is pretty much right at where Pages is, which is right around that 22% league average number. So even that number, which we harp on and we focus on, even that hasn't been a big difference or a big change, whether it's been Pages or Contreras behind the plate.
You need him in the lineup. And if this team is going to go anywhere, which I understand that the numbers were better when he was out, and you could throw a million numbers at me. I don't care. He's got to be in the middle of the lineup and can make other players better, because he can protect them, or he gets on base and has a chance to be driven in, and he hits for power. So, yeah, I don't buy into it. It just seemed that all those guys clicked when he was out. That also coincided with them playing terrible baseball and then all of a sudden turning it around. And there's momentum in lineups, and so I think that's part of it too, is that you had momentum there, and your pitching staff all of a sudden started to pitch a little bit better too. That was right around when Ollie got ejected. And so, yeah, I just think that it's one of those anomalies that you look at. They're a better team when he's in the lineup, no doubt.
Bottom line. That's Dan, that's Brooke, that's Matthew, and I'm Randy, and that is today's Fresh Take here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, Mizzou opens up their season on Thursday night over at Faurot Field in Columbia, and we're going to hear from the coach some of the things that he has to say next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you want to have a great time watching football, you need to head to the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. It is your home for college football this year. College football Thursday, on Thursday night for Mizzou and Murray State is going to be awesome. But college football Saturdays starting on August 31st are going to be superb. They're going to have $16 buckets of Modelo. They're going to have great bucket specials on all of their beers, great cocktail deals as well. Plus, you're going to have those fantastic trashed wings. The best wings that you'll ever have are at Fenton Bar and Grill. And all day Saturday until 6 p.m., their 6 for $6 appetizer special. 6 different appetizers, and they're all delicious for $6 a piece. They've got 10 TVs. They're going to have audio for a couple of games and an incredible staff. Alicia's going to be there. Casey, Heather, say hi to Jamie and Dawn, and they'll serve you well. You're going to enjoy all the sports. You'll have a ton of fans with you. Some sections available for private parties is included as well. If you ever want to watch your team with a group of people, you can at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Learn more at fentonbarandgrill.com or follow them on Facebook.
I think we have a plan on how we want to approach it. Nate Noel will go out there first, and then, him and Marcus will rotate through. I think those guys have good complementary football skills, and they know how to play off of each other. I think we understand we're probably not going to have somebody that's going to be able to carry it as many times in a game as Cody. So we'll have to do a good job of making sure we allow the starter to get into rhythm, but also make sure they're fresh.
Since Eli Drinkwitz got to Missouri, Larry Roundtree rushed for 972 yards. Tyler Beatty ran for 1,600 yards, and Cody Schrader ran for 1,627 yards. So under Coach Drink, he's proven the ability to not only run the football, but develop running backs.
That was the head coach at Missouri, Eli Drinkwitz, along with the voice of the Tigers, Mike Kelly, with us here on 101 ESPN. Nate Noel, the starter, came from App State, and he is going to get the start. And Marcus Carroll, who came from Georgia State as a transfer this offseason, will be the number 2 running back. And like Mike said, they've always found a guy to carry the load, and I would have to believe that one of these guys is going to grab the upper hand. Remember, last year we weren't completely sure about Cody Schrader being able to carry the load, and it turned out that he could. It seems like Mizzou does a really good job, and they're very well coached. The running backs are. Seemed like they do a very good job of building a running game, but it takes some time.
It does. It does take some time. And I think another big factor here when you're looking at some of the big storylines for Mizzou going this season, as you mentioned there, we'll be watching the running back position and what happens, but you also return your quarterback and Brady Cook and what he's able to do. Mm-hmm. That wide receiver room with Luther Burden at the helm is going to be such a highlight. And when you are talking about having success with your receivers and with your running back, you have to have a great offensive line. And luckily, as of right now, they have what is considered a top 10 offensive line, especially with their new addition that they're able to get from the transfer portal.
That's the one thing I picked up in watching Florida State over the weekend against Georgia Tech. They were just a mess up front, and that's something that Mizzou, to your point, Brooke, can kind of hang their hat on, because Brandon Jones from Houston came in, created a better offensive line last year. I think that was part of the production for Cody Schrader is that up front they were very good. Credit goes to Eli, too. He gave up play calling and the arrival of offensive coordinator Kirby Moore from Fresno State. That was big. Mm-hmm. And then the passing game. This is where it really gets interesting to me. The Tigers really went vertical, and they moved Luther Burden inside. They also got him the ball much quicker. That allows him to make plays. So trying to find a way to get him the ball is number one for me. Trying to figure out formations, where you put him inside, you go outside, you stretch the field. field, which they were able to do more so with Brady Cook as the season went along.
I think offensively, they're very secure with all the things that you pointed out. You have Kirby Moore back for year 2. Obviously, that worked out well for him and Eli Drinkwitz. You have Brady Cook. You have Luther Burton. You have all those names. I think defensively, there are some question marks. I'm not saying that it should be a maybe big giant concern, but you did lose some very key players, and you have a new defensive coordinator that has taken over for this team. So I'm interested to see, obviously, philosophy-wise, it will be the same because Drinkwitz is still there, but how different will this defense look? Because while their passing game should be really good, it seems like how will they defend the pass is the big question for this team, because Darius Robinson, who sadly, by the way, is injured, so we will not get to see him start his NFL career just yet, but he was a huge loss for this team.
Well, you lost your best defensive lineman in Robinson. You lost your best linebacker in Tyron Hopper, and then you lost 2 drafted corners. So that does change things. But they've got a system going here, and they do such great work in the portal. Getting Pride, Toriano Pride, the East St. Louis product from Clemson, is huge. Johnny Walker comes in, and he can be that edge rusher that you're looking for. Johnny Walker might wind up, if he has a good year, I could see him turning into a first-round draft choice in the NFL. And they did a great job of going into the portal to get a couple of defensive tackles. I think they're going to be fine. I really do. And it's going to come down to, and I know that they want to run the same defensive system. It's going to come down to these players adjusting to this system.
I'm going to go back to offense because I'm so intrigued about what they could do with Brady Cook and Luther Burton. But if you notice last year, the Tigers constantly shifting on offense, and the defense is always moving. And that's something that you have to watch out for in the Murray State game, at least from my perspective, is like how much are they going to show in that game offensively? They should win and should win by a ton. How much are you going to show in that first game?
Yeah, you should overwhelm them physically. And one of the things that Eli was asked about was, how much do you know about Murray State? And he talked about how it's difficult to prepare for a team where you just don't have tape. And if you don't have tape, you don't get a chance to prepare. But going back to what you're talking about, Dan, this is a team that you don't have to game plan for. You should be able to physically overwhelm a team like that.
So let's hear from Eli Drinkwitz on Murray State.
You know, it's going to be a difficult challenge, probably the most difficult opening game that we've faced since I've been here. They have a whole new staff, around 60 new players that they've acquired, whether high school or through the transfer portal. So it's a real challenge to have any idea of what they're going to do schematically, whether we're talking about offense, defense, or special teams. Coach Wright is an excellent football coach. He does an outstanding job. You know, he's got experience at both SEC pro level. He has been tremendous at all the different places and stops that he's had before. He's got a lot of different types of coaches on his staff, and so we're trying to pull film from a lot of different places to get an idea of what they're going to do. So.
Okay, can we hear the first part of that? Can we hear that? Can we hear that just one more time, please?
You know, it's going to be a difficult challenge, probably the most difficult opening game that we've faced
There we go.
Oh, Randy, what are you expecting, though? Come on.
He played LSU, the defending champion LSU, in his very first game ever at Mizzou.
But Drinkwitz, this is what he does. It's typical coach speak. I think it's great because it doesn't put you in the headlines for showing up as Darth Vader to a press conference. So I think that there's a lot of positives in that. I think that he will be, somebody pointed this out on the text line, and I agree 100%.
It was Alabama. His first game was against Alabama.
Yes. Okay. I think the play calling will be very vanilla. Now, I have 2 questions for you guys. Will we see Luther Burton possibly return punts this season? I got to see him do that at East St. Louis when he was in high school. I know that Eli Drinkwitz gets, peppered with that question all the time. I want to see Luther Burton do that a couple of times this season. He has the ability to do so. You're so tickled with yourself over there.
I can't believe he said that.
It's Coach Speak 101, man. And that was to
Does he think we don't remember?
He knows. He knows.
Okay.
He's not trying to give bulletin board material.
Any year, even when Mike Dubose or David Shula were coaching at Alabama, has there ever been a year in your lifetime where you thought, oh yeah, Murray State, they could beat Alabama?
There was back in the 79 year, Randy. I was just going through the tape.
Okay.
And no, I don't. I don't have it. It never came out.
Come on, Eli.
Okay,
but you got to say it.
You have to say it.
I don't. No, you don't. You don't have to say it.
Randall, you have to say it.
You have to.
You can't come in and say, we're going to beat Murray State by 50 looking on to the
That's
next
ridiculous.
game.
You can
couldn't
say
do that.
Murray State presents a challenge in our opener. You don't have to say that they're going to be the toughest opener since we've been here because you played Alabama in an opener
Randy,
one year.
it's coach speak. I do like that he said that it was hard.
Randy is correct on that one.
I will say I do like that he talked about, if you listen to the rest of the press conference too, they couldn't find much video of these players from Murray State, so he actually had to go and search like their high school highlights to
You're
be
watching
able
huddle
to
tape
scout
on the
them.
quarterback because he went to
Yeah.
the School of Mines last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Okay, now to your question, I do like the idea. I'm not as worried about players getting hurt as a lot of people are. If Luther Burden is returning punts, I'm fine with that.
I think he's got to. And also, if you're making a case for the Heisman, let's put him in every potential situation that I can that he touches the football. If that means he's returning kicks, then I got to put him back there.
Isn't that how Desmond Howard won the Heisman? On a punt return?
Heisman.
Yeah.
And it looks like Eli Drinkwitz, just based off his comments, he's actually willing to do that with Luther.
Yeah, no, I think obviously Luther's listed as the number one punt returner. Theo Weiss could absolutely go back there. Marquise and Daniel Blood have also been very good at it. So I think, just depending on where the game is, who's fresh, I think any one of those four could be back there at punt return, kickoff return. Josh Manning's been getting quite a few looks. Mookie Cooper's been getting some looks. So, again, just depending on where the game is and how it's going, I think you could see multiple people.
Light him up. That's what I think. I watched Luther Burden just when he was at East St. Louis, when he would do that, he was such a great punt returner. Anybody who's ever seen him play over there knows exactly what I'm talking about. And, of course, we've seen at the SEC level how explosive he is, but especially as a punt returner, it's so much fun to watch Luther do that.
I got to put the ball in his hands.
Yeah. One of my favorite players ever, and Dan, yours as well, was Terry Metcalf.
Loved him.
He was a running back who caught passes out of the backfield. He was Marshall Faulk before Marshall Faulk was Marshall Faulk. He returned punts. He returned kickoffs. At one point, he had the record for all-time combined yards in the NFL for one season as a member of the football Cardinals. As John McKay said about O.J. Simpson when asked, why are you giving him the ball so much? He said, the ball's not heavy, so let him do it. Let Luther run.
And you can't worry about him getting hurt, to your point.
No.
If he makes you a better team, when he touches the football, which the answer is yes, put the ball in his hands in any possible way that you can.
Didn't Jeremy Maclin do that?
You bet he did. He was amazing.
Yeah.
If everything goes according to plan, is it out of the question that Luther Burden and Brady Cook could be up for the Heisman?
I can see it happen. Absolutely.
Not Cook. No way.
Oh, yeah.
You think so?
With that receiving crew that he has? Yeah, if they wind up going 11-1 and Cook is the quarterback, absolutely I could see him in the hunt for the Heisman.
I'm going to leave that.
If he has imagine if he has two 300-yard, 3-touchdown games against Texas A&M and Oklahoma. That's
and Alabama.
And if he has a big game against Alabama, and maybe that's the one they lose. And then, like Randy says, they're 11-1. A guy going to the playoff who's a quarterback who just led the team. The big question will be, is it Luther with a Denario Alexander 1,700 total yards, 15 total touchdown season, or is it Cook with 3,500 passing yards because he gets Mookie Cooper and Johnson and Luther Burden involved in a ton of ways? I wonder which dichotomy we'll see.
I think it's because it's Missouri and people won't give them enough respect. He may put up those numbers. I agree with you.
Chase got consideration.
He was a finalist.
I know he will, but I don't see it.
I think Cody finished 8th in the Heisman voting last year.
He did. He was top 10.
Yeah.
He should have been higher than that.
I voted for him 3rd.
Top guy in the SEC.
Yeah.
It's pretty darn good.
To your point, though, wide receivers have been getting a lot more Heisman votes and credit. Separated from their quarterback.
That's where I was
over
going
the
with
last few years. You're right.
Exactly.
I was agreeing with you.
And I appreciate it very much. That's what I'm saying, buddy.
I'm rumbling behind your thunder.
I love it.
Rumbling behind your
and
thunder.
Murray State 7 o'clock contest on SEC Network on Thursday night. And at the same time, and by the way, on Thursday morning, we're going to talk to the head coach, Lindenwood, the only Jed Stugart, because Lindenwood visits KU for all of our Jayhawkers. Lindenwood visits KU, and they're going to trample them on Thursday night.
What's the line, Randy? I'm a little concerned.
Pretty big. I think that we saw that the KU has a 99% chance to win the game.
Yeah, so Randy took a picture of it because they had that on the lower third. I was like, wouldn't it just be easier, or is it more hurtful to just put on the lower third 1% chance of beating KU?
And KU's supposed to be pretty good this year too.
Yeah.
So that's a tough test for the old Lions.
Let's see if we got a line here on this one. Lindenwood and the Jayhawkers. I don't see it. Don't see a line. Just the matchup predictor.
99%.
Oh no, this is wrong. I was seeing a 33-point favorite. I don't know.
It's got to be more than that.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a pretty strong Lindenwood squad. Matthew's looking it up for us.
I don't know.
He knows the gambling.
I would say it'd be along the lines of the Murray State type line here with Missouri.
I don't know if we have a line on this one.
There might not be a line.
When you get 99% on the predictor, I don't know if you get lines necessarily on some of those games.
Okay, well.
Because it would have to be like plus 3,500 for Kansas or something like that.
Yep.
At a 99 to 1 percentage on a predictor like that. I can't, like plus 6,000. Like, I don't know how you put that if you're the book.
I don't think you can.
I'm going to put 20 on the Lions.
I like it.
Thank you.
And if you hit, Randy, that means you won't be back in next week. You'll say, I'm retired.
Yeah.
You know what? I won't be back in next week anyway.
Oh, that's right. You're on vacation.
You are.
There we go.
So then we won't know, I guess.
We've got the
if
fight
you're out
coming
there
up
celebrating
next.
the money.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'll be back the week after that.
Okay.
The fight is coming up. We need a fighter, though. 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Text in your name and the word fight, and perhaps you will fight me next here on 101 ESPN.
Tuesday morning, that means we're talking about Stewart's American Mortgage, and Stewart's American Mortgage can help you. Everybody knows him as Stewie, and I'm here to tell you, when you think of Stewie, you should automatically think about service because he is the best at it. The mortgage industry continues to fluctuate, be an interesting year to say the least, and the spring market is hot. The summer market was hot. If you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're looking to refinance, Stewart has the knowledge. He'll provide you with the best customer service. So simply call his cell phone, and I know you'll have an honest, educational, fun conversation with Stewie. He is the best. He'll be able to fill you in on the bagel loan, which is all about no fees and no closing costs. Plus, he can get you closed in 10 to 15 days. It is Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage, and if you want to find out more, make sure you Google the bagel loan.
NMLS number 226715.
This is Rocc with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals last night fall to the Padres 7-4. Padres jumped out to an early lead. Kyle Gibson, 4 1/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 7 earned runs, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, and 1 home run allowed. The Cardinals will look to get back into the winning column today with Game 2 of 4 against the Padres. 6:45 is your first pitch tonight, and it'll be Dylan Cease facing off against Miles Michaelis. Cease on the season 12-10 with a 3.43 ERA. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Dan, Randy, and Rocc here, and it is time for the fight. And we have a new fighter today, and it is Pat. Pat, how are you doing this morning?
Great. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Is this your first time facing Randy in the fight?
Yeah. Been a long time, forever listener, but never got this far.
Yeah.
Sound really excited, Pat, to be a part of the fight to challenge Randy.
You know, I was until he texted me back and said, you're in, and all of a sudden I was like, man, I don't know about all this.
You'll be fine.
Nerves, yeah.
Have a little fun with it. Take him down. Have some fun. Okay, buddy. Here we go.
All right, here we go with question number 1, Pat. Earlier this month, Elly De La Cruz became the 5th player all-time to steal 60 bases and hit 20 home runs in a season. He also became the 3rd Cincinnati Red to do it, joining Eric Davis and who else? Is it Dave Collins, Joe Morgan, or Cesar Cedeno?
I'll go Joe Morgan.
Final answer, Pat?
Yes.
All right, on to question 2. Who is the only goaltender in National Hockey League history to win the Hart Trophy as the league's MVP multiple times? Was it Jacques Plante, Jose Teodor, or Dominik Hasek?
I'll go Dominik Hasek. Final answer.
A lot of confidence, Pat. I love it. Here we go with question 3.
Which season did Lou Brock become the stolen base king, stealing a record 118 bases and holding the title until Ricky Henderson swiped it away in 1982? Was it 1970, 1972, or 1974?
I'm going to go 72.
All right. Okay, final answer. Here is question 4. There are only 2 players in Blues history to tally multiple 50-goal seasons. Brett Hull, he did it 5 times. Who is the only other player on that list doing it twice? Was it Brendan Shanahan, Wayne Babbage, or Brian Sutter?
Was he a Blue when he did it? Or just in general?
No, he was a Blue.
God, I know Babbage did it once.
Wayne Babbage.
I'm going to take a chance on Babbage, but it'll probably be Shanny.
Okay, Pat, are you
go
sure?
Babbage.
All right, that's your final answer?
I don't know. You talking me out of it?
No, I need to get clarification whether it's a final answer or not a final answer. That's what I'm trying to do here, Pat.
We'll go Babbage, Dan. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
All
Thank
right.
you.
How are you feeling, Pat?
Not really so good.
Oh, well, look, I know that it's very nerve-wracking, but it seems like you were very confident. It's intimidating, isn't it?
Yeah, it's easy when you're driving down the road, but
yeah, in your car where nobody can hear you. It always is that way. Oh, here comes rain right now. There is no grapes in sight. They are gone.
Demolished.
Bad sign.
He said bad time. Randy, say hi to Pat.
Pat, good morning. How you doing?
Just fine, Randy.
Good to have you with us. Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. We appreciate it.
No problem. Hurry up and get this done on me.
Oh, no.
Okay. You heard Pat. So we'll get started with question number 1, Randy. Ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, he wants his machine.
Yeah.
Rock you.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
There we go.
Okay, yeah, here we go. Question number 1, Randy.
Question 1.
Earlier this month, Ellie De La Cruz became the 5th player all-time to steal 60 bases and hit 20 home runs in a season. He also became the 3rd Cincinnati Red to do it, joining Eric Davis and who else?
Eric Davis and 20 homers and 60. So I know this. Let me just think about it a little bit.
Let it marinate.
Yeah. It wasn't Johnny Bench. Wasn't Pete Rose. 20 and 60. Darn it, I know this. Who was the other one? You idiot, Randy. Hold on.
I like the internal dialogue coming out.
I know. I'm going to be mad if I have to use the lifeline here because I know who it is. Eric Davis was one of them. And the other was, this is so stupid that you don't know this. I'll do lifeline. Go ahead.
Okay. Dave Collins, Joe Morgan, or Cesar
Joe Morgan did
Cedeno.
it twice. Joe Morgan did it twice. Okay. Stupid, Randy. Okay, go ahead.
It's okay.
I just want to make sure you're satisfied with Joe Morgan.
Yeah, I know it's him.
Are you ready for question 2?
I'm ready, Dan. I'm rattled, but I'm ready.
But don't be rattled.
Okay.
I don't like it when you get rattled.
Okay.
I like to see you marinate over the questions. That's the second time I've used that. Okay. How you go through it in your mind.
Confident.
Yeah, confident.
Okay. Let me get, okay. Smell the flowers. Blow out the candles. Deep breath. Okay. There we go.
Conviction, Randall.
Got conviction.
Who is the only goaltender in National Hockey League history to win the Hart Trophy as the league's MVP multiple times?
League MVP multiple times as a goaler. You'd think that it would be Glenn Hall. It's not Martin Brodeur. It could be Patrick Roy. I don't think it's Ken Dryden. Didn't play enough. Not Tom Barrasso, former Blue Tom Barrasso. Probably not Chris Osgood. Okay, this is a good question.
I'll repeat the question for those that just tuned in, just to think about it. Who is the only goaltender in National Hockey League history to win the Hart Trophy as the league's MVP multiple times?
Okay. The other one I thought of was the Dominator, Dominik Hasek. I will. I'm going to go though with Mr. Goalie Glenn Hall.
Final answer.
Yes, sir.
Question 3.
Which season did Lou Brock become the stolen base king, stealing a record 118 bases and holding the title until Rickey Henderson swiped it away in 1982?
I'm glad that we qualified this because he became the stolen base king twice, Brooke. Once on a regular season basis in 1974, and then once as the all-time stolen base leader in 1979. Maybe it was 78 that he got that.
Remember, there's 105 for Lou Brock.
Yep, Brock's Base Burglars 105 Club. I wore that shirt all summer in 1974, and Steve Garvey somehow won the MVP. Should not have. 1974.
Final answer.
Yeah, I'm going with that as my final answer, Dan.
Question 4. There are only 2 players in Blues history to tally multiple 50-goal seasons.
Wow.
Brett Hull did it 5 times.
5 of them.
Who is the only other player on that list doing it twice?
Number 19, Brendan Shanahan. Shanny.
Final answer?
Yes, sir.
Matthew, please do your thing.
This was an extremely hard-fought fight, extremely close fight. No tiebreaker needed. So does Pat take down Randy Carricker, or does Randy roll on? Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
I'm sorry, Pat. Randy Carricker beat you 3-2 in today's fight.
Oh, that's not horrible.
No, like I said, it was a very, very hard fight, very, very well fought. Let's go through the questions and answers. Earlier this month, Elly De La Cruz became the 5th player all-time to steal 60 bases and hit 20 home runs, and he also became the 3rd Cincinnati Red to do it. It was Eric Davis and Joe Morgan, the other 2 to do it. The only goaltender in NHL history to win the Hart Trophy as the league's MVP multiple times is, in fact, Dominik Hasek. Which season did Lou Brock become the stolen base king for the single season when he stole 118 bases? It was 1974. Then Ricky Henderson would swipe that away in 1982. And only 2 players in Blues history to tally multiple 50-goal seasons. Brett Hull did it 5 times, and Brendan Shanahan is the only other person to do it multiple times. He did it twice. Wayne Babbage did it just the 1 time, Pat. I know that was your sticking point there, and that's where Randy Carricker got you in the fight.
You guys have a great day.
You too.
Thank you, Pat.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much for tuning in. So there you have it. Pat with us on 101 ESPN. Coming up next, how much of a difference has Mike Shildt made as the Padres manager? That's coming your way on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Hey, one of the things that I've done as I've gotten older so that I could get my energy level back is go to Mentality. They have great clinics in Chesterfield and South County. You can find out what they do at lowtusa.com. But Mentality is a local clinic that has helped thousands of guys improve their lives because as you get older, you get a little bit more fatigued. You get a little bit more tired. And you say, you know what, it's just because I'm older. Well, it's also because medically your testosterone level drops. It drops because you're getting older, and that's why your energy level drops. Well, you can get that back with an FDA-approved testosterone supplemental treatment that is applied each week at Mentality. Stop by one of their facilities, like I said. Make an appointment today at lowtusa.com, and then they'll check where your testosterone level is and get it back to where it was when you were in your 20s. It's an amazing item, and it'll change your life. And your insurance will pay for it. They'll work with your insurance company so that your out-of-pocket expenses are as low as possible. It's Mentality, Chesterfield and South County. Get going now at lowtusa.com.
I haven't lost any sleep with how I did things for 18 years here. You know, I can rest comfortably knowing that. I did my best to be a caretaker of the organization. As Tony would say, I tried to do my part and put my little piece in. As I got more opportunities, the piece became a little bit bigger. But I always wanted to do the very best I could and had a pure heart for making sure this organization moved forward.
That is former Cardinal skipper Mike Shildt, who has his team in a playoff position right now in his first year at the helm of the San Diego Padres. Of course, Shildt almost got the Cardinals into the playoffs after taking over in midseason in 2017 and then did make the playoffs. In each year, he was the Cardinals manager for the full season. He did a great job in 2019, 2020, and of course 2021 when they had the 17-game winning streak. He took over and went 41-28 for the 18 Cardinals. Mike Matheny had him at 47-46. They go 41-28 under Shildt, who just seems to have that ability, and a veteran minor league manager, to get players to play better. And I think one of the problems they had last year in San Diego, and Bob Melvin's a very good manager, but they didn't play very well as a unit last year. And I think that's what Mike Shildt does. He gets teams to play well defensively. He gets them to run the bases well. He gets them to play better offensively. He's just a very solid, fundamental manager / coach. And I'm not at all surprised that the Padres are better now than they were last year at this time.
I'm not surprised whatsoever as well, Randy, because he's just very tactical with what you're talking about, the details, the little details that he's able to look at, and the connection that he has with his players. That's something that we were able to witness here with the Cardinals, where it didn't matter if it was a veteran or a young player, he was able to get the most out of them. Even look at this season. This could have been another season of excuses for the Padres because their payroll went down. They lost some other star players, and they started out the season with a lot of injuries. Even outside of the injuries, Manny Machado did not get off to a great start to the season, and they struggled. You even had injuries with Tatis, and then you had Bogarts, and then you had Darvish, and then you have Joe Musgrove. Now, they did add Dylan Cease to this team, and everybody knows that that was a player that we wish we could have gotten here, a starting pitcher that we could have gotten here. But the fact that he was able to really keep this team intact despite all those challenges, you have to give him a lot of credit for what he's been able to do with the Padres.
To Randy's point, the emphasis on fundamentals, he's as good as anybody. I mean, he is going to clean up base running. He's going to clean up defense. The other part of this, though, is that you have to have the personnel. And that's a good Padres team.
It is.
And when he had some teams here in St. Louis, the personnel was very good. They had the emergence of a Harrison Bader playing center field. Very good defensive player. Jose Martinez was at first. They go out and get some other players that are better defensively. Arenado helps as well. I think in the one-game playoff against the Dodgers, in that playoff, that one-game playoff, and Alex Reyes gave up the home run to Chris Taylor, I think if they win that game, I think they win the World Series. I think the Cardinals were that good and had momentum enough going into that postseason. I really felt that they maybe not win the World Series, but get to the World Series. Mike's, you can't you can't say he can't manage. He can manage. He's managed at all levels and can do a good job. I don't know what happened here in St. Louis, nor do I care. It just didn't work out. Now he's on to San Diego. He's got the personnel. His front office and went out and revamped his bullpen. He's very good in usage of bullpen. Technically, in terms of how he manages a game, he knows how to utilize his players. He's really good, man. It doesn't surprise me one bit that he's going to be headed to the playoffs.
And they got Tanner Scott, which is the guy that you wanted for the bullpen. I think a lot of people did as well, and we're hoping for St. Louis. And it's not like A.J. Preller was exactly known for being the best GM in the biz to get along with. So this was another tough situation for him to come into, and I think that's another reason why you have to give Mike Shildt a lot of credit. He also gave 18 years to this organization. I'm talking specifically about the Cardinals, and we were discussing earlier about having kind of that development within your system, bringing in those coaches. To lose somebody in your organization that brought 18 years of experience and knowledge and knew your organization from the top down, the ins and outs, and was a part of the everyday personnel standpoint, I think that says a lot about how huge of a loss that was for the Cardinals organization.
I don't know if he still does this, but when he was with the Cardinals, you'd walk into his office and the book that was on his desk was the George Kissel way, so to speak, the George Kissel Cardinal way of how to manage and how to be a professional and how you deal with certain situations. And he would be on the phone, and I guarantee he still is. He'd be on the phone almost daily with Tony La Russa. And just, hey, we got a situation with this player or this popped up in the game. What would you have done as a manager? Those kind of things. He's very good. I mean, he's been doing this a long time. Baseball is his life, and he's a lifer. If it doesn't work out in San Diego, someone is going to hire him. And as he continues to have success in San Diego, someone would probably hire him to be a manager somewhere too.
I think that he's in a perfect spot right now because Preller does go out and get talent, but it was kind of disjointed talent.
It was.
And
kind of a hodgepodge of guys.
Right. The trading Soto to the Yankees actually has benefited them. Michael King, because they lost their starting rotation from last year. Michael King has been a revelation for them in their rotation. They have a new starting rotation, and they've had a lot of issues. Brooke, you mentioned the injuries. When you lose Bogarts for a couple of months. You've lost Profar for a couple of months. You haven't had Yu Darvish basically for the whole season. Musgrove was out for a couple of months. Machado started the season being unavailable for them. Right now they're missing Ha-Sung Kim. They've had a lot of issues, and then they plug in a center fielder that had never played center field before. Jurickson Profar is having the year of his career. He was, remember this, he was the best prospect in baseball. It was either he or Oscar Taveras and him. They were the best prospects in baseball in 2013. And now here he is having a career year. By the way, guys that he knew, Donovan Solano, the Peralta.
Cardinals farm system.
He had Peralta in the Cardinal farm system. Gets guys that he knows from the system, and they're productive players for the Padres.
Wasn't it also really smart what the Padres did with the situation where it happened with the Cardinals where he left and then you didn't know where Mike Shildt was going to go, and they had him work within the minor league system of the Padres, just like he did with the Cardinals, where he can understand kind of fundamentally what they have going on, understand the philosophy of the organization. You can learn that from the minor league system and how they run things so that he could be prepared for this role as a manager.
And he said, wasn't sure if this would ever happen again because of what you're saying, Brooke. I think a lot of people across baseball kind of pegged him as being the perfect minor league manager or the perfect guy to oversee the minor leagues. And that's why I think he felt, and with the way the situation ended here in St. Louis, that he thought, maybe I'll never get a shot again. This is it, because I've been pigeonholed as just this minor league guy where I've talked to Mike and I talked to him a lot. He wanted to manage. He wanted to manage at the major league level. He wanted one more crack at it. And he goes to a place that is acquired players, acquired guys for their bullpen. And along with Arizona, I think these are the two really dangerous teams in all of baseball. When I look at the wild cards and division leaders in both leagues, Arizona and San Diego, they are going to be really dangerous when they get to postseason play.
One other thing about Mike Shildt, I think all of us can agree, he's an easy guy to like and root for.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is.
And again, I don't know what happened inside, and I don't know what happened with the philosophical differences. I know that from my perspective, as somebody who covered him, I found him enjoyable to cover and easy to like.
He was easy to like, is easy to like. I can only go on how he treats me. He treated me like we were long-lost brothers. I mean, he was amazing to me and still is today, and that's all I can go with is how he treated me.
And he'll be with us tomorrow morning at 9:30.
He will. I know. I really appreciated, Mike Shildt and how he was with the media members. And he also would push back, though, which is a good thing. He would push back, maybe even sometimes too much to the detriment of what happened here with the Cardinals organization. But he would definitely push back on what he saw and what was going on. But he would also really take the time to explain it to you. Kind of points back to Tony La Russa, what we were discussing before about some of the other mentors that he had along the way, is that he was more than willing to also really go into depth, explaining things to you. And he was one of the few guys that I thought was really surprising. When somebody's busy managing, he would actually stop and ask you about your life and what was going on and was genuinely interested.
I think you got to have the players.
Yeah.
It comes down to that.
Players making plays.
Yep. Players making plays, got to have the personnel. And when he finally got things rolling in St. Louis the way that he wanted it, he had a pretty good collection of players, and he's got a nice collection of players with the Padres right now.
That's Dan, that's Brooke, that's Matthew, I'm Randy. Coming up, we've got our rush hour reset, and I've got a number for you that I don't think the Cardinals will be very happy about. That's next on 101 ESPN.
The preseason is winding down. If there's some injuries going on right now with your favorite NFL team, so the perfect time to get your plays going with Underdog Fantasy around the NFL. We're coming up on the best time of the year, especially when it comes to our friends at Underdog Fantasy. Over 1 million fans got in the game last year by making picks on Underdog, and you can join in and compete against other underdogs to win up to 325 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on your favorite player stats. That's my favorite part about Underdog Fantasy, how easy it is. You can just jump on, and if you're going to play the live games, you can just jump on right there, and you can just choose higher or lower. All the baseball games, they even got golf every time when it's later on in the week. Heck, if you're an esports fan, you can even jump in on Underdog Fantasy with esports. But of course, the NFL season's coming up, and that's what I'm ready for. There's less injuries. We know what's happening with the preseason, and so now you can start putting in those week one entries. They are live right now on Underdog Fantasy, including promos. You just need to jump on right now. Making picks on Underdog is so simple and even easier to get started. You just go to their mobile app or to UnderdogFantasy.com, sign up with the promo code ROCC, and Underdog's going to give you a highly discounted pick to use on your first pick of entry, plus a first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC. Claim your new customer offer of a gimme first pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus and present. Stay where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concern with play call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncbgambling.org.
recapping the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
Well, Don, I'll be honest with you. I want to get this right out of the way. We are in St. Louis, Busch Stadium. This is not the Busch Stadium I am used to.
No.
Late August, early September. Usually it's packed. The Redbirds are in the race. It is a different vibe here.
Yep, it's shocking.
It is shocking.
Not used to this ever.
That was the Padres broadcast last night. Don Orsillo and Mark Grant at the outset of the Padres 7-4 win over the Redbirds at the ballpark. Cardinals and Padres back at it tonight, 6:45 with the action. And the Cardinals will send Miles Michaelis to the mound against Dylan Cease of the Padres. And guys, we were talking earlier about the attendance and in reference to that little conversation between the Padres broadcasters. And it is notable that even the Dodgers are up, year to year. They're up from last year. Philadelphia is up from last year. Padres are up from last year. The Cardinals are down. The Rangers won the World Series. They should be up, and they are. Seattle is down a couple thousand a game, and they've tanked after having a 10-game lead over Houston. Milwaukee is down about 50 fans a game, so it's not negligible. Milwaukee's drawing about the same as they drew last year. Baltimore is up about 4,000 a game. Cincinnati is up about 2,000 a game, a little over 2,000 a game. Pittsburgh is up about 2,500 a game. Kansas City is up from 16,136 last year to 22,45, about a little over 4,000 a game from last year. And this is easy. It's not rocket science. The Cardinals are not drawing because they aren't winning. But I think we look for ancillary reasons for the Cardinals not to draw. What it comes down to is that the Cardinals just aren't winning. And if they were winning, if they were a game out of their division lead like the Royals are, the Cardinals would be drawing well.
It's not an exciting product on the field, so I completely understand. And I know that there's economic factors that are a big part of this, too. Things are really expensive right now. Going to the grocery store is expensive, but Dan, you mentioned this earlier. The Cardinals do have very affordable ticket prices. I was shocked. You said that guy that Martin interviewed the other day, the shirtless guy, the rally guy.
$88 to go to a green seat.
$88 for green seats.
Now, that's on the high end for a lot of people that want to go to a ballpark.
But still, typically, what would you say green seats would
they're
be?
in the hundreds.
Yeah.
And I had a friend of mine say that he went to the ballpark the other day for $2. So it's there to be had if you want to go. Listening to all those teams, Randy, it's really interesting. The number one thing is winning. So like Baltimore, a good example. They're 4,000 up a game. Why? Well, they're winning. They also have good young players that you'd go to pay to see, to watch. And that's the other, like Cincinnati. I want to go watch their shortstop. I'd go pay to watch him play.
They're exciting.
I'd go pay to watch Bobby Witt Jr., but also they're winning games. And they were a 106-loss team a year ago in Kansas City, and now they have a chance, legitimate shot to win their division. So it does come down to winning, and it comes down to an exciting product or an individual you want to see.
And I would love to play, and I would love to play the economy card. But across the sport, overall, baseball attendance is up over last year. They're going to set records this year. And look at all these teams. How could Kansas City, is their economy that much different than St. Louis's, that they're up 4,000 a game and the Cardinals are down 4,000 a game? I don't know that the Kansas City's economy is that much better than ours, that they're able to attend games more than we are. I wonder how much the economy really has to do with it. I wonder how much safety really has to do with it. I think people would find a way and take the chance if the Cardinals were in the hunt right now.
Oh, 100%, especially if they knew that they could go see something exciting in a game.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, for the people who, when you're looking at the schedule, whether it be pitching matchups or anything like that, what is it that you're looking for game-wise, where you say, okay, I'm going to go to this Cardinals game because of what? What's the reason? Is it a certain matchup, I wonder, from fans? Or you say, because, even we talked about the struggles with Sonny Gray. Sometimes you even look at, okay, I want to go on a Sonny Gray day, but now I don't know if that's the case.
Right. With the team in this standing such as they are, what would cause you to go to a game under these circumstances?
Yeah.
Mason Wynn.
I think
he'd be
fair.
my guy.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that when I was writing my notes and you were going through the different teams and why they're up. I said, okay, who is the player I'd pay to watch play right now with the Cardinals? Mason Wynn. I'd go watch him play defense. I love watching good defensive players. He, by the way, had 3 hits last night, had a good game. I think he's getting better and better as we watch him progress throughout his rookie campaign. But that would be the guy I'd want to go see. It used to be Arenado, used to be Goldie, used to be Yachty, certainly. Adam Wainwright, a start for him. I'd want to go watch that, knowing that this could be the final time that I see him pitch at times last year. Obviously, Albert brought you to the ballpark, but those guys aren't walking through the door right now.
No.
So it's about winning baseball and trying to get you down to the ballpark.
By the way, when we talk about people like Witt and De La Cruz, this year, Mason Wynn has 131 hits, and let's see, 38 of those are stolen bases. So he's been on first base 100 times that way and 34 via walk, and he has 10 stolen bases. Would you, if you were in charge, be inclined to give him more of a green light? I believe that Mason Wynn as a Cardinal leadoff hitter should have more than 10 stolen bases.
I would run him nonstop. Victor Scott is on. I'd be yelling at him, "Why aren't you going?"
Yeah. I'm the same way.
We've seen their speed.
Go run.
Yeah. You're
going to have to try something.
Right.
Just go generate some offense. And if you get thrown out, I would have zero problem with that. Go get thrown. I don't care if you get thrown out trying to steal.
I'm with you. Last night, you're down 2-0 in the first inning. If Wynn gets on and the leadoff hitter gets on first base, I'm running him.
Well, we talked about this earlier about if the Cardinals, why they don't maybe copy other teams. What do you see as one of the big things right now in the league when we're looking at positional players? It's that speed, that athleticism. You mentioned those young names that we've seen, even Jackson Merrill, who's in town right now. Why not let the young players just run wild?
Why not? I'm with you. That has worked here before. And,
it has. There's an history of that here.
And people like it. We know people like it.
Victor Scott is the one for me. I was watching the other day. He's at first base, and it was a situation to run, and he didn't run.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, why? He's got the green light all day. And the only way he's going to learn is to get either a stolen base or get thrown out. But I'd rather see that. I'd rather see movement and some type of activity and not just keep him there. And I understand it's down to the split second of pop times and the way a guy throws and how quick a pitcher is to the plate. I don't care. I want to see him run. I want to see Mason Wynn run. I just think that that's one way that, especially if you're going for broke and trying to keep in the race at this point, go for broke. Let these guys run.
Yeah. That is today's Rush Hour Reset here on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Dan, and Randy. Coming up, Justin Verlander had some comments on the state of baseball. And he's probably right. That's next time, 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to tell you why I love the Missouri Athletic Club. It's because it really feels like I've joined a community. I love going over to the West location because they have everything I need right there. I can go and get lunch over at the grill because they have that wonderful buffalo chicken wrap that I like to get with the sweet potato fries. It's delicious. And then I like to go over there and play tennis with Scott. It's been so much fun getting back to the sport that I played my entire life. And at the same time, I can go use their gym. And it's still pool season. We have a little bit of time left, and that is the best pool in town. They always provide such a wonderful experience, and that's why I love my MAC.
When I needed a fence, I called Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Their number is 800-300-4054. And they're on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. Why did I call Chesterfield Fence and Deck? Because they had a reputation as the best in town. And that reputation has been cemented for me with a fence that's lasted a long time. It looks fantastic. It's a white vinyl privacy fence, and it looks like the day I got it. And they did such great work at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They've earned an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau because of the work they do. Everything that they do has a 5-year labor warranty, plus comprehensive material warranties also provided. They have the best exclusive warranties in the industry. And when you tell them Randy sent you, you can get 48 months interest-free financing on that next outdoor project, whether it is a fence or a vinyl or cedar deck. Maybe you're in the market for a sunroom or a screen room or even a retaining wall. They'll come out to your house. They'll take all the measurements. They'll give you ideas of what to do, and they'll do great work for you at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. On the web at chesterfieldfence.com. Call 800-300-4054. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign. You have the very best.
Yeah, I saw some of the proposals that were out there. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had, quite frankly. Teaching in the current state of the game, we talk a lot about feel. The feel has kind of gone out of the game. More recently, coaches don't talk about it. They talk about how nasty your stuff is, how much you're spinning it, how fast you're throwing it. They don't talk about setting guys up, locating, feeling, stuff like that.
That's Astros right-hander Justin Verlander. He's an old-school guy. He pitched in the 2006 World Series here in St. Louis, and he pitched in a day that wasn't too long ago where it did matter that a pitcher went 6 or 7 innings, and the coaches did talk about command, and it wasn't all about velo and spin rate. And I'm glad that he mentioned, with the question being, hey, what do you think of the idea of having a 6-inning minimum for starting pitchers, that it's a conversation that needs to be had.
He's been at the forefront of a lot of this, too, talking about where he's at with the state of the game. Very smart guy as it pertains to baseball and pitching, and you don't last this long in the league unless you got a lot of talent and you're smart and you figure out how to get people out with diminished stuff. I go back to you lose your DH, and it's going to make you stay in games. And if you do that, then I think you're going to see a lot of these starters go much further than just 5 innings, 5 and fly. I can't stand it. That's where the game is right now, but that's how it's played. And if you made it a deterrent to take out your pitcher, your starting pitcher, then I think people would stop doing it.
When you're trying to attract new fans, don't you think that that's the best way to showcase it too? Great starting pitching?
Absolutely.
Where it's not the 5 and fly guys?
And who are the highest paid guys in the game? He and Max Scherzer. Can you imagine basketball saying, you know what, we're only going to have LeBron James play half the game.
Right.
We're just going to sit him the other half. Or we're going to sit Patrick Mahomes for half of the game, the part of the game that he's available. It just doesn't make sense. And that's one thing. Verlander, being as old school as he is, he likes the idea of having that expectation that he's going to be a big part of the game.
No, it was about getting outs. It was about pitching to contact. Obviously you would go for the strikeout when you needed it, but it's changed quite a bit. Look, I mean, the analytics point, it's going to be hard to put that genie back in the bottle. I don't know if you can. That's why rules might need to be changed. But the harder you throw, the more you spin it, the more your breaking ball moves, the harder it is to hit. That's pretty black and white. But there is a feel that comes to setting guys up, getting guys out without showing them your best plan. All the stuff that we used to talk about. I don't feel like too many people talk about that stuff anymore.
Think about Adam Wainwright always saying his favorite part of the game is that one-on-one battle, the thought battle between the pitcher and the hitter.
Really, baseball is an individual game. It's a team sport, but it's you against that ground ball. It's you against the pitcher. It's you catching a fly ball, all those things. But to his point of what he just said there, he said, well, this is where the game is going and maybe rules need to be changed. You have to police it yourself then. then you got to stop this. Like he said, the genie is out of the bottle. Well, then you need to make sure that you need to get it back in the bottle. And one way to do that is to police it yourself and to say, we're going to have to change the rules where it becomes a important part of the game where the starter stays in the game. If you want to change it, then you're going to have to force yourself to do some rules that you're uncomfortable with, and that might be one of the rules that you have to change.
The bad part of this, though, is that how do you put the genie back in the bottle, though, is the big question, is that they have that discussion about the 6 innings, of course, that he was referencing to, but there's also bigger things at hand here, which is like the agents. There's a lot of money involved. Even the organization, when he's talking about analytics, we discuss this all the time. Why is 100 pitches the magic number to pull a pitcher? It has to be something that they see analytically. How do you scale back on this, or how do you get that feel back into the game? You guys have seen all the different versions of baseball, right? And so how do you get that feel back that he's referring to?
I wonder if maybe the analytics people will come to the conclusion, just because we use them and we have the numbers, it doesn't mean they're right, because there can't be a cookie cutter. You would not have told Joaquin Andujar and Jaime Garcia are different pitchers. Jaime Garcia, you might limit to 100 pitches. He might not even get to 100. Joaquin Andujar could throw 130. Every body is different. And I think that's one of the things the analytics movement fails to recognize, is that they aren't all cookie cutters. They are all different.
So do you want to see starters stay in longer?
I do.
I do too. Yeah. And so tells me that baseball needs to change the rules. And so we're going away from a sport that when Randy and I were growing up, watching guys go 120, 130 pitches, and some guys going on short rest and still doing the same thing, those days are just gone. So if you want to try to get back to some semblance of that, you're going to have to change the rules. Like, people may not like the pitch clock. It's here to stay because it's a better game for a lot of people and how they perceive it. And it's a dramatic rule change, but maybe that's what you have to do.
And for Verlander, he thinks maybe balancing out the old school with the analytics is the approach to take.
You'd be amazed at what you can see and glean from this technology that we have now. It's pretty cool. It's always getting better. And so, on one hand, I say that analytics needs to go away a little bit. On the other hand, it's a beautiful thing, and you can learn a ton from it. So, just always trying to adapt. And the hitters are doing a good job adapting to spin and the stuff that we're throwing at them. They adapt so quickly. I mean, these guys are the best in the world. And, so it's a constant back and forth and chess battle.
Use analytics, but don't let analytics use you.
I would counter him and say, well, really, are the hitters adjusting? I mean, they're trying to adjust, clearly, and there's analytics on both sides of the table, but we were talking about it before we came on the air. There's 2 guys hitting above 300 in the National League.
Yeah.
So they're not adjusting all that much. They're getting dominated.
Yeah, and in 1979, the Cardinals had 5 300 hitters in their lineup. There's 2 in the whole league now that are hitting 300.
Ozuna and Arise.
Yeah,
that's it. And I talked about that 2 weeks ago on the Take It or Leave It. I said, do you think a National League hitter will hit above 300? I'd say no this year.
It's dicey. Yeah. It's really dicey.
It really is. It goes back to when we were just discussing about the Cardinals and getting back some of those former players into your organization. Does baseball in general need to do that, where you get back some of the old school guys or former players who played during those times pre this huge analytical wave that we see now?
But those guys are getting taught the analytics, too, to teach.
That's true.
So, no, I don't think that would be the case, because when these old school guys are brought in, which is more about, in certain cases, more about mentality and how to be a pro, you don't find that in analytics. But then when they're brought into an organization, they're saying, if you want to talk to these kids and if you want to teach the game, this is how we do it with analytics. It's not going anywhere.
And here's a point about analytics. And because the analytics people are smart. They all went to Ivy League. Most of them went to Ivy League schools. But this is a quote from Jim Cott, who didn't go to an Ivy League school, but is brilliant. He said, "You wouldn't need a rule to accomplish this if teams would train their pitchers properly. The game doesn't need more rules. It needs baseball people with game experience. Only industry I know of that hires people with no experience and eliminates those that lived it, played it, and know it."
100%.
I think he's right. He's 100% right.
Can't say anything better than that.
No. And that's what I'm talking about. You can have the balance of the analytics. There's, of course, a place in it. And as Justin Verlander said, it actually can be very useful. But then having those players who have been there, done that can help a lot of these younger players navigate a lot of the noise that they're hearing, I think is a huge resource.
And guys, there's got to be owners out there that say, oh, well, last year under Bruce Bochy, the Texas Rangers won the World Series. The year before that, under Dusty Baker, the Houston Astros won the World Series. The year before that, under Brian Snitker, the Atlanta Braves won the World Series. There is something to be said for the old school people that did participate in the game and know how to play it.
Here's the other problem that you have, too, is that these kids that are playing baseball and make it their number one sport are being taught analytics at the high school age, if not before. So they're growing up in this different era and different world of baseball than any of us did. It's not the same thing. And they're taught about spin rate, and they're taught about a breaking ball more, and they're taught about launch angle. This is how the game is played. I don't necessarily agree with all of it. I go back to what you guys are saying. Having an old school voice in there is a good thing. Doesn't have to be all of them. Just some, just to kind of balance it out. There needs to be a balancing of some of the old school way to play and some of the ideas that are taken old school, and then mix it in with what you have with analytics. But to correct it in the game, you may have to have a very serious rule change to make sure that we see some of the things that we're talking about. If a starter would stay in 6 innings and he's around 100, 110 pitches and you have to keep him in the game, probably doesn't have his best stuff. What does that mean? Offense would probably be up. What does the game want? More offense. I mean, there's little things that you have to do potentially that turn into big things to make this a more enjoyable sport to watch.
Exactly. You have to make sure that you engage that new audience while still keeping the audience that has been faithful to you this entire time.
That's Brooke. That's Dan. I'm Randy. And this is the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Coming up, the Cowboys have signed C.D. Lamb to a new contract. And Jerry Jones, the Cowboys owner, is just the gift that keeps on giving. That's next on 101 ESPN. I am such a big fan of Together Credit Union, and especially now with a brand new high-yield checking account called Empower Checking. With Together Credit Union and Empower Checking, you earn above-market interest on the money you keep in your day-to-day checking account. Interest is paid to you every month. It's a checking account that rewards you for balances and not activity. To apply, all you need to do is visit togethercu.org or stop by any of their 14 area locations and work directly with one of their amazing member advocates. Together Credit Union not only has Empower Checking, but they also have, when you get that checking account, their City debit card. Their St. Louis City SC debit card allows you to get into City Park faster and gives you 10% discounts on everything you buy with the card at City Park. It's a pretty cool deal. All you need to do, again, is go to togethercu.org or stop by any of their 14 local St. Louis area branches and get paid to save with Empower Checking. Visit togethercu.org/empower for full terms and details. Membership eligibility required. Together Credit Union, federally insured by the NCUA.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals and Padres last night. The Padres win 7-4. Kyle Gibson 4 1/3, 5 hits, 7 earned run in that game. Cardinals will look to get back in the winning column tonight. 6:45 first pitch. Dylan Cease faces off against Miles Michaelis. Michaelis on the season 8-10 with a 5.19 ERA. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Congratulations to C.D. Lamb of the Cowboys. He agrees to a 4-year deal for $136 million. He's going to get $34 million a year. That's pretty good, isn't it?
4 years.
4 years.
Yes.
I think the Cowboys, I read, they wanted to do a 5-year deal.
He wanted 3.
And he wanted 3, so it's amazing in negotiations how you go from 5 to 3 or 3 to 5, and you settle in the middle. That's usually how negotiations work.
It is.
And they waited until now to do it.
Yeah, and
it wouldn't have been that hard just to get this done right away.
No, and he needed to figure out that he isn't as good as Justin Jefferson is. So he takes $1 million a year less than Justin Jefferson. He got 4 years at $140 million. But the Cowboys get the deal done. By the way, he's going to get $100 million guaranteed. Do you guys ever think about the numbers that we're reading?
I have been lately.
Insane.
Yes.
Yes.
It's amazing, and it's great for them. It's the owners shouldn't get it all, so it's great that the players and people that are putting their health on the line are getting this sort of money.
I've never understood, Randy, and you would understand better than I, and probably understand better than Brooke. Sorry, Brooke probably understands better than both of us, so I'm throwing myself in this too, is how NFL players cannot have the guarantee. Now, I understand they get the guarantee up front. but like their full salaries are not guaranteed. When you have baseball guys that are guaranteed, hockey guys are guaranteed, and the sport in which you can go out there and get killed, you don't. I just find that amazing. I don't know why.
It is amazing, and the guaranteed money in contracts has changed things dramatically, but the concern for owners has always been, it didn't make sense before the salary cap, but it's okay. We do have a chance to have career-ending injuries. Can we have this $90 million contract against the books for the next 3 years and go against our cap?
And I get that. But I'm just thinking in a general sense, as a business person that would love to be an NFL football player, I'd say, I want all my money.
All guaranteed.
I'm the one that's going out there every Sunday to get my head knocked in. So I want all the money. I found that amazing to me that has been the case. And I understand where you're going with this. I'm just saying, as a human being, I want all my money.
No, you're 100% right. But a big part of it is the Players Association. And CD, he's even talked about this. The Players Association is not as strong as the other ones that you see, like with Major League Baseball and some of the other sports.
And I get that too.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that I think the average lifespan now for an NFL player, not lifespan, excuse me, career span, that was a poor choice of words, career span would be 3.5 years. Yeah. And so I think that the NFL owners, they have found a way to make sure if you're an owner of any sports team, you would want to be an NFL owner because they have it set up so perfectly where you're making sure you get all the benefits and rewards.
So here's a question for you real quick, Randy. You know this too. The next CBA is up in probably 3 years with the NFL?
No,
or is it a long-term one?
It's a long-term deal, 11-year deal.
And then it's tied in, obviously, with the TV money. So my point being is that as that goes up, I mean, you're going to see maybe $1 billion guy before it's all said and done?
Oh, yeah. At some point, very soon, I would think.
That's what I'm thinking, like within 5 years?
Yeah, because you're at $500 billion right now.
Exactly, and it got there fast.
Now, Jerry Jones did sign CeeDee Lamb. Before that, he was asked about whether or not he really needed to be the general manager of the Cowboys or if they needed somebody else to succeed. This from Clarence Hill, who covers the Cowboys. Jerry's response to that, quote, I've done it all, so I have an inordinate amount of confidence that blank, if anybody can figure out how to get this blank done, I can figure out how to get it done. He said, I've been there every which way from Sunday, and I have busted my ass a bunch, and there's nobody living that's out cutting and shooting that can't give you a bunch of times that they busted their butt. So hell no, there's nobody that could blank and come in here and do all the contracts and be a GM any better than I can.
I like the accent. I felt like he was in the room with us, which is terrifying. But also, does he not realize they haven't been past the second round of the playoffs since the 1995 season? So maybe, just maybe, he's not correct there.
I would suggest that when your franchise has not been in an NFC championship game since 1995, and a city that hasn't had a team now for 9 years has been in two more recently, I would think that, you probably could find somebody, Eric DaCosta of the Ravens, maybe, to do a better job.
Then you have to figure out, if you're Jerry Jones, how to sign Dak, and then Micah as well. So you got
good luck.
You got two major contracts coming up, or at least situations in which you're trying to extend guys. And that's something they have to figure out as well.
Okay, think about this, though. The Cowboys have gone to the playoffs a lot. Would you like it? Not that they would ever. Let me put it this way. If Jerry Jones and that personality owned the Cardinals and had a press conference every week and talked like that and didn't win championships, but spent a lot of money and talked a lot, would you guys like that?
No, it's absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that he just keeps on doing it.
I'd love it.
Really?
I would. I'd love it.
Really?
I wonder if fans would like that. Okay, you don't get to. The Cowboys are the Cardinals, okay? Basically, the Cardinals since 2013 haven't been to a World Series, okay? So Jerry Jones, that personality is talking all the time. I would think it'd be interesting. I think people would. It'd be awesome for sports talk radio.
That's why I love it. It'd be entertainment, man.
Yeah.
Give us content every single day.
So if Mr. DeWitt were talking like that and saying we're all in and then not being all in and stuff like that, just being so disingenuous, I think it'd be very interesting. And that's Jerry, if nothing else, he's a scoundrel. But he's an interesting scoundrel.
He is an interesting scoundrel. Could you imagine just having to be the coach underneath him, though? Talk about people portray you as a puppet. They think that that coach is a puppet. That's what they think. The way that he just handles his business, it would be so frustrating. Look, you can talk all that you want as long as you have the winning to back it up. Then people won't care as much. But to have him go out all the time, and even what he said prior to this with CeeDee Lamb, where it really wasn't a priority for him, it's like, why are you saying that publicly? Like, what are you doing here?
And as a head coach, you know the situation you're going into, and I think you just treat it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? You just say, that's Jerry being Jerry, and that's how I got to deal with it. If I'm a fan out there, I'd get a kick out of it. I wouldn't take it seriously at all, but I'd find it entertaining.
Yeah.
He'd entertain me. He always does when he talks. He entertains me.
Yeah,
Even now, is not a fan of the team, really a fan of the league. I love watching the games, but I'm not a fan of their business. I find him entertaining.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's entertaining. It's just a lot. And here's the thing: is that he's not going anywhere. That's very clear.
Well, soon.
Well,
It's like 82.
Randy,
Here we go with death.
But AI, remember AI Jerry Jones is out there, so he truly is not going anywhere. They're going to wheel out AI version of him to hold these press conferences when he passes.
So entertaining. Cannot wait. Hey, we got things happening here. Speaking of the Cowboys, get signed up to play in this year's Fast Lane Pick'em Challenge at 101ESPN.com. Make your football picks each week and see if you can defeat the Fast Lane and the dudes from the Riz Show. The Fast Lane and the Riz Show are throwing down all football season long in the Pick'em Challenge. Get signed up to play now at 101ESPN.com. We also have a cool event coming up. Did you guys know that September 20th, it's the annual Blues and Brews for the outside of the blues season? It's at the Anheuser-Busch Brewery, and you can get fired up for the blues season at an outdoor street party featuring live music from country music star Matt Stell and St. Louis's own Charles Glenn Group, plus appearances by blues players and alumni. I wonder if Broberg and Holloway will be there. I hope they are. Food trucks, 101 ESPN giveaways, and more. Tickets are just $20 and are on sale now. Learn more at 101ESPN.com. Coming up, we've got rock and roll, and we've got Sammy Hagar tickets for you next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you're thinking about selling your home, do what Michael and his family here in St. Louis did. They interviewed a few agents, but none of them guaranteed their price. Well, Glory Lou guaranteed his desired price and ultimately ended up getting him that price, and Michael was able to pick his closing date. It's a pretty cool deal. Gloria Lou, with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, can get you your price, and if she doesn't, she'll buy your home, and that's guaranteed in writing. She's able to guarantee the sale of your home because she already has buyers, thousands of ready buyers that have been in a database for over 20 years, and it's an exclusive database that only Gloria has of people looking to buy in your neighborhood and in your price range. That's how Gloria nets you the most money and creates the highest demand, many times with multiple offers, and that means more money in your pocket. Gloria Lou is not your average agent. She's St. Louis local real estate authority with 20 years of experience, hundreds of homes sold in just the past 12 months alone, and the only agent I trust to sell my home. Get in touch with Gloria Lou at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, and Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. To learn more, visit GloriaHasABuyers.com.
gonna rock. And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
To score a pair of lawn tickets to Sammy Hagar's sold-out show on August 31st at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. Brooke is intrigued by the fact that it's a sold-out show.
No, I think I was just more intrigued by the way that you said that.
Oh, well, you got to know, because now you can get tickets for nothing. Sammy's going to be joined by Michael Anthony, Joe Satriani, and Jason Bonham for a huge sold-out show on Saturday night. All you need to do is text in.
Why do you say it like that?
Because it's sold out, and I want people to know that it's a sold-out show.
You're emphatic.
314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO to get your tickets and answer the question coming up. Or you can register to score tickets in to this sold-out show at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app. Matthew's got a question for you, and if you text in, you can get the Ducats. All right, Matthew, what do you got for us?
I like it, the Ducats. Since it is a sold-out show, I'm going to stick with some...
It's not just a sold-out show.
Sorry.
It's a sold-out show.
There you go. And because it's a...
sold-out show.
I really want these to go to some real fans, so I'm just going to stick with the Sammy Hagar trivia. While he was in a cover band in San Francisco, what band recruited Sammy Hagar and then shot him into fame? While playing in a cover band in San Francisco, what band recruited Sammy Hagar, which then originally shot him to fame?
Okay, good. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Very interesting. What is
Van
your favorite?
Halen was not a cover band. So I got to think about this a little bit.
Me too.
I thought you were about to
I actually don't
reveal
even know
something.
the name of the cover band he was in San Francisco.
Okay.
I just know that it was a cover band in San Francisco.
Okay.
And this is when he got recruited.
Okay, good. What do you got for us on Rock and Roll?
Have you guys been able to watch Sign Stealer yet? I mean,
Not
it
yet.
literally opened. I think it dropped at midnight last night, so obviously none of us have been able to watch it. But nonetheless,
Can't wait.
the Connor Stallions stuff is already hitting the internet. ESPN reporting on it that Connor Stallions, when asked by an NCAA investigator in the documentary, says that he did not obtain signals through in-person scouting. The NCAA investigator also asked Stallions if he ever directed anyone to attend a game in which Michigan wasn't competing. No, I don't recall ever directing anyone to go to the game. ESPN then writes correctly. Records provided to ESPN by several Big Ten schools showed that Stallions purchased tickets for multiple games involving future opponents. Stallions told NCAA investigators that he frequently purchased tickets to many games and would either resell tickets or transfer them to friends. Michigan suspended Stallions with pay on October 20th, pending the outcome of his internal investigation. He then resigned on November 3rd. There's just a lot of doubts and a lot of denying from Connor Stallions throughout this documentary, and a lot of memory issues coming out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. It's really tricky.
What's he doing now?
He was going to be a high school coach in Detroit, but I believe that got immediately squashed as soon as it hit national news. That high school said, yeah, we don't need this.
Well, he has his vacuum business, Dan. Don't
I
you
didn't know
remember
that.
Yeah.
No, is that what he does?
Did he address that?
The fact that it sounded like a front?
Yeah. Well, so do you remember that was one of the things of where he was getting some of his revenue is that he was supposedly selling vacuums. Like, I think he was repurposing them. So I would be very curious to see if maybe his vacuum business has been booming right before this documentary came out.
Sometimes laundromats make $5 million.
Yeah. It sounds a little
amazing.
suspicious.
Who would have known?
I'm not
Could have thought you could have done that.
It's just I'm just annoyed by this whole story because we have Jim Harbaugh last week making his denials. We have Stallions making his denials. I know legally you got to do what you got to do, but I don't know. There used to be shame.
Oh no, there's no shame.
There used to be shame in this world, and it's evaporated completely. We need to shame people more often.
So,
Bell,
what is he going to do moving forward if he can't coach? And the vacuum business is not really a vacuum business.
I think, though, he does have a manifesto to become the head coach at Michigan eventually.
He does.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite parts of the entire story is that he had a manifesto of how he could help.
I can't trust anyone who has a manifesto. I'm sorry. As soon as you tell me I have a manifesto, I'm out. I can't imagine what has driven you to write a manifesto at that point.
So you're out on the Matheny manifesto.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Manifesto it's very strong term. But to answer your question, I have a feeling, based off of what you told me about this documentary and the fact that he denies that there was any wrongdoing, I have a feeling that Connor Stallions might be set for life, Dan.
Yeah.
I think he's in okay shape.
He's going to be in just fine shape.
Somebody got paid off.
But he's a young man. You got to continue to do something.
At least he has his vacuum business.
He does have the vacuum business.
Yeah.
What do you think of a lot of
vacuum salesman?
What'd you say?
Is he a door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesman?
Could be. Death of a salesman.
Yeah.
I love that.
Arthur Miller.
Yeah.
Arthur Miller. He was a linebacker for the Browns?
Wrong guy.
Oh, okay.
Now, what happens if the stuff that comes out is so egregious, which it sounds like it's going to be awful? Does the NCAA come in and say, we got to do something about this with Michigan's national title last year? Just an honest question, throwing it out there. I don't think that they would. I don't think they can. I wonder how that is perceived at the offices in Indianapolis.
I would think that right now, Michigan doesn't care. I think you're right. And I think the NCAA is toothless. Taking away a title isn't going to do you any good.
What happens to Jim's tattoo?
There you go. That's a good point.
That has to go away. Yeah.
Doesn't taking away a title do something? I mean, like, coaches care about legacy.
That's the Fab Five.
Isn't there something to the fact that you can win a championship? Your dreams can be realized, but then for all of eternity, everyone will simply say, yeah, but you cheated to do it, and the NCAA acknowledged that you did, and so we're not giving you that one. Like, isn't there an ego factor that would affect coaches and affect what they would go to if you're just out there ripping away championships when they break rules like this?
But I don't think that the NCAA will have enough evidence. They're going to get the people who actually benefited from this to talk. They're going to have enough evidence to be able to say, okay, this affected whether you won or lost these games.
Probably right. I don't think they could. Not at this point.
No.
Not at this point. And you're right. I mean, it's revisionist history to an extent of just how much did it affect a team and affect their play. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious if the NCAA would get involved in some form or fashion, which they are handing down certain.
Well, they gave him the show cause. He can't coach college football for 5 years.
Yeah. Like 4 years. That wasn't even a slap on the wrist.
Oh, that was huge.
Yeah, that wasn't even anything. And also, does anybody fear the NCAA anymore?
No.
They don't do anything unless you're not a blue blood. So that's another factor here, is that there's also special treatment for certain universities.
I have figured out the Sammy Hagar band.
You can reveal it now?
I can. I knew it from the get-go.
Did you really?
Had no idea who it was.
Do we have a winner?
Oh, we do have a winner, yes.
Montrose.
Eric Montrose?
Eric Montrose.
No.
Yeah. Former North
Dean
Carolina
Smith.
center?
Yeah. Played for him.
Lonnie Montrose was the guy who started the band, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, Montrose.
Were they related to Eric?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. It'd have been a really tall member of that band. Eric Montrose was huge.
He was a big fella, yeah.
And the crew cut, man, he was nasty.
Also, every time we get to that little thing at the end of that football segment where it's like, are you guys ever get surprised by these contracts? We always get one person who incredulously is like, yeah, players shouldn't make this much. These contracts are ridiculous. And that's always just such a really confusing take for me, because what's the NFL supposed to do with the billions of dollars in revenue they pull in? Not pay the guys who make all the money millions of dollars? Like,
they're worth every penny.
I'm very confused by the take that people are getting mad by how much athletes make. When do you want the billionaire owners to pocket more profits? I'm confused what the complaint is here.
My question would be to those people, it'd be a very simple one. What is the product that television and ticket buyers are paying for?
The players.
So shouldn't the players be able to sell that product? And
if you're worth it, somebody will pay you.
Because another thing is like, even if you were talking about moving the money around, I feel like the average person would actually be more bothered if the guy who never sees the field and never plays and never contributes, instead of making $300,000, wouldn't it make you more angry as a regular person if that guy was making $800,000 or like $3 million and never contributed on the field? Wouldn't that actually irk you more than the guy who your team counts on making a butt ton? So, like, I don't even understand their thought process on, if the revenue's there, why are you bothered by a player making a huge chunk of it? I'm confused by that factor.
You said butt ton.
Oh my God!
Sorry. I wanted to point it
Randy just did Beavis and Butthead.
out. I know.
I picked up on that.
You're
I was
supposed
like,
to be the highbrow one in the
weird
show.
laugh.
I am. I also enjoyed Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
So,
Here's the other
South
part
Park,
of this.
all that stuff. Yeah.
The NFL salary cap is also tied to a salary floor. So teams could not pay every player the minimum and reach the floor. So you've got to pay somebody something. And if you get good players and you can afford to keep them under the cap, and trust me, we don't need to hold any benefits for Jerry Jones signing C.D. Lamb.
No.
So we're going to be okay. He's going to be just fine paying C.D. Lamb $34 million a year.
Yeah. I think he'll survive. I think he will.
Yeah.
And he's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
C.D. Lamb.
Yes.
Yeah. Jerry isn't.
No, you're down on Jerry.
He's just a bad guy. It's okay. The world needs bad guys, too.
Got to have villains.
I mean, how good are movies if you don't have bad guys?
A lot of villains in movies, Randall.
Yeah, right. Every good movie has some level of conflict, whether it's a person or something. Whether it's a storm or a disease or something. Every good movie has conflict.
What's Die Hard without Gruber?
There you go.
What's Star Wars without Vader?
What is Ricky Bobby without Jean Girard?
That was so good. That was a good call there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you think Jerry Jones thinks he's a villain, though?
No, he has no clue.
No clue.
Brooke, the villains never do.
Oh.
Yeah. He messed up Kurt Warner's Hall of Fame speech by talking for 45 minutes, though. And Kurt had, 5 minutes to talk or something like that? It was not
Very
great.
kind.
Yeah, very. Great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes.
Good to hear. Daniel?
Yes, sir.
You're the best.
You are too, Randall. I thoroughly enjoyed the program.
It was fun. Tomorrow, we're going to talk to the manager of the San Diego Padres, Mike Shildt. We're also going to talk to Kyle Gibson, and we're hoping to make connections with our buddy Doug Armstrong, the po-ho of your St. Louis Blues. So we got a lot going on tomorrow here on the opening drive. It's Ask Uncle Randy Day tomorrow too. You know, you can email askunclerandy@101espn.com. Did you know that you can do that? If you have a question, you can just send in an email and we'll maybe answer it if it's a really good question, like if your wife is working late or something. So anyway, we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us until tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, have a terrific Taco Tuesday, St. Louis.
What just happened?